Booyah! We in here, boys. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of The Junk Drawer. We got one of our main hosts back as well today. So you got Javi, you got Wagyu, myself, and Doc is back in the house. The boy has been traveling the world.
Hello. Traveling the world.
And today we have a very, very special guest with us. The one and only, the champ, Gingerfusion in the house. Welcome in, brother. Welcome in.
Thanks. I don't know if I can say that anymore. Second place is not champion, so that feels feels wrong.
You're still the champ, bro. You're still the champ. You can't change that, right?
Once a champ,
exactly.
Just one time. That's all you need. I won locals. We're set.
So we'll do a quick little recap. Last week, we had the pleasure of having, obviously, a huge Dragon Ball Grail trophy collector. He's kind of an overall collector for multiple things that you guys are all familiar with. Bro Namath shared tons of insight with us, all kinds of, his personal collection and, just how he saw so many things. And, we're super grateful that we all got to see that and kind of hear from his end of things. And, it's really nice to follow it up with having someone like Ginger here, because he is the other end of what makes the collecting and those trophies possible. So, so we're actually gonna dive into it and get going here. Let me see. Wagyu, go ahead, brother. You're up.
I think the best place to start, Ginger, is to kind of give us your story. I know you started to get into it a little bit before we went live, but give us the origin of Gingerfusion.
So I guess there's two origins. I'm not sure which one's better. So what got me into card games, or like what started me as a company to do like the other stuff?
Let's do the company first. Let's start with like where Ginger obviously.
Yeah.
So
2019, I had some success with the card game, started to do well. Really, I just learned that I wasn't as clever as I thought, so I had to play meta decks, and then I started to do well. And I realized I couldn't afford a lot of decks, so I just started borrowing them. And then, I in that time frame, in like September, I entered a tournament, and I was really excited for it because I was starting to get good at the game. And when you get good at the game, people are really nice to you. And I was super lonely. Like, I didn't have a lot of friends. I had moved down to Florida. And so all my friends from Michigan, I didn't have anymore. And then when that happened, I was excited. Like, it was just great to go to events, and you just felt like you were part of everything. And then in top 4, we had split. So in top 4, we all split the prizes. So we weren't playing for anything anymore. We were just playing for a title. And then in top 4, I made a mistake. It's the famous double shot mistake where I comboed a card incorrectly. And my opponents, they try to fix it on camera. And I was like, okay, well, fine. Hey, just DQ me, whatever it is. Like, I'm not playing for anything. If I did something wrong, we'll do it. Judge's like, no, we'll fix the state. And I was like, okay. And my opponent recommended a solution. And then at the end of it, they fixed the state, but it gave me an advantage. So then I beat my opponent. I was going to win anyway, but it didn't matter, right? Because I had made a mistake. And then the forums at the end of that event were crazy. And I mean crazy. Everybody was all of a sudden attacking me. All these people were talking about like, man, I wish you got face stomped. And it was so aggressive. And so here I was, this like nerdy kid trying to like, be a part of something. And then I was just like, God, everybody just hates me. So, and we had some money, so we were gonna go anywhere. So we went to, I think that's when we went to Japan, and we just traveled the world a bit, got away from the whole scene, and I came back and I got 3rd at Nats. Well, then all of a sudden everyone liked me again, and it was super confusing because everyone was coming up to me and like, "Hey man, you really proved yourself," and all this kind of crap, and I was just like. I don't understand. Like, I wasn't a cheater to begin with. Like, I made a mistake. Like, why did I have to prove I don't get this. Like, I was really just kind of mad about it. But then one of my buddies was like, you should make a company. Like, you're whatever it is about you, you polarize people. People want to buy from you. They want to hate you. You are always a topic. And I was just like, okay, well, what do I do? He's like, well, make up a personality. Make it up and try to distance yourself from it because you're too sensitive to be in the limelight. Like, you check the forums, you check YouTube, you can't do that stuff. Like, you need to be like away from it all. So I was like, okay, I'll be Ginger. And then my first ever stream, I was like, yeah, guys, I'm Ginger. You know, I got third place. You know, here's some of my trophy cards. And then that's kind of like what I started my brand behind, like doing whatnots and streams and stuff. But that's kind of like where it all began, was I wanted to distance myself from the business as a player, while kind of like taking advantage of the fact that I am, you know, like that's primarily what I like to do, is play card games. Like that's my biggest hobby.
Okay. Okay. And the fusion part, is that you and your wife?
Yeah, so the fusion just came into the fact as we were at Disney World, and they have those really fun pictures you can take.
Yeah.
And she was like, "Hey, let's do the fusion." And it was her idea. And I was like, I love you. You're the best. So we did the fusion picture, and that was my Instagram photo for forever. So we just made it. And honestly, most of Gingerfusion is really just Jenny. So like Jenny is the company. She's the CEO of the company. She does all your shipments, all of your orders. If you talk to anybody on Instagram, if you're not doing a sale item, like I do all the like high-end sales, excuse me, 99% of it's her. So she's the one who's like, yeah, I'm happy to ship it to this address instead. She sends people for payment plans, like where they're at. She'll research cards. Like she's basically the whole company. So I just go to tournaments and try to win.
Okay, that's awesome. How's that been with you guys working? I know a lot of people have like that, you know, that time, they like that time away from their spouse when they go to work. How's that with you guys working so closely together?
So we're both golden doodles, like personality wise. So
Okay.
part of the reason why I'm so sensitive guy and why she's a sensitive gal is we're super big softies, but we never know when to shut up, the both of us. Like we both like stories, we love to talk to people, but like if we go to conventions and we meet people, we'll just completely go hoarse. Because we'll be talking, they talk, we talk. We just love to be with people. So yeah, in the morning I have my station set up for work. I'll be working cases. She'll be doing. We have rows. I think there's what 8 rows of cards of long boxes from all the TCG orders. So she'll pull her orders. We'll talk about the day. She'll do that. She'll just keep coming in. She'll ask about stuff because obviously there's there's so many different versions of Dragon Ball. So
Right.
unless I'm in a meeting for work or something, you know, we'll just chat, but we never get kind of sick of it. And I've tried to do her job, and that's actually where we almost closed Ginger Fusion, because she got a regular job like after we were pretty profitable. And so I
Mhm.
think our first year it was something like we were up with like 80,000 profit in the first like 3 months, which is a lot of profit. And that was during the
Yeah.
boom, right? Like that doesn't happen normally, but during the boom we were just making hand over fist money. And then around September, when the boom was over, she got a real job. And it was just month after month of like me trying to do the orders and stuff. And we were just losing and losing. And it was like by her having a regular job, we were losing like 10,000 to 15,000 a month. So she left that job and went back to just doing this full time, because we make a lot more money if she's not,
Yeah.
you know, working for someone else.
Being
So
distracted and stuff.
real quick, what was the reason that she jumped into wanting to get like a regular, like full-time job?
So we just kind of assumed that cards would go away. Like you know, Bromath is a great contact. He's the one who taught me about high end. You know, like when I got 2019, he was part of those people that were like, "Hey, you should do this. You should sail. You know a lot about cards." And I know a lot about the cards from like a player standpoint, where stuff comes from and all that. But we never thought that this could be like a brand. Like I think this is our 3rd year, you know, like to the level we're at now, you know, where we're like an S corp. We do a lot of, you know, collaborations with eBay, TCG, all these really awesome things. So we just kind of assumed like it would just end and she would just have a regular job like a regular person. And then the only reason she had left her previous job was her mom had died like a few years ago, and they didn't really give a lot of leave. So we had left that, and then she just was without work. And then when she got her regular job, she was like, "Wow, this is terrible. Working for somebody else, you make no money, and you know they take all your leave still, and you know it's just not fun."
Yeah. Huh. What is it that you do professionally?
I do law for the VA, so for Veteran Affairs.
Oh wow.
So I adjudicate
wow.
for them. So yeah, so I do the rating for veterans and do the final decisions for them. Currently, I'm training younger people, quotes, because nobody in the government's young. But yeah, so I like it a lot. But that was also a reason why that was when Trump was president. Not to get political on your thing, but there was a VA law that got passed where it said if you can be fired as a VA employee for any reason. And like I've talked about in all my shows and stuff, I'm bipolar. So like it scared me a ton because suddenly out of nowhere I was 1/2% from meeting my standard. And my boss called me into a meeting, was like, hey, just so you know, with this new law, we might fire you. We're probably going to fire anyone who's not meeting their standard. And I had 12 years.
That's crazy.
And so like I was just freaking out. And so that's where, like I had a big push to become Ginger at that point. And then I was meeting my standard and I was like, well, I guess we're done with it, right? Like, I mean, the boom's over. Like, it's not like everyone's going to keep buying cards forever, right? Like, it can't be that important in the hobby. And yeah, so that's what kind of made her decide to kind of go back to the work after the fact, was that we just thought it was kind of like time to pass,
Yeah, kind of like a protection deal, like just in case.
Yeah. There's something really nice about that, from like, because the entrepreneur life is scary, right? Like you only make money when you're actively working, but then sometimes when you're actively working, you still don't make money. Whereas you're always making money if you work for someone else, but it's a lot less money.
That's true. That's very true. Well, and you have someone else that has to you have to answer to.
Yeah. It's. I would always recommend you work for yourself if you can.
Harder to get days off. So backing up then, why Dragon Ball?
So I honestly just love the game. I love the people that I hang out with. So we have a really active locals, but that's why I first started playing when I was 16 years old. We went to a locals event, and we had a football practice, and it got canceled because our water got turned off. And in the state of Michigan, you can't practice without water. And the guys were playing it in a corner under a tree during football practice, and I was like, "What are you guys, lame?" I'm probably sure you used some derogatory term back then, being a high schooler, but I was like, "What are you guys doing? Like, this is stupid." And they're like, "We're playing Dragon Ball," and I'm like, "Dude, we're at school. Like, you're gonna get yourself beat up?" And they were like, "No, check it out." And I was like, "All right, fine, I'll watch." And they were having so much fun. Like the Saiyan Saga decks, I think, had just came out. It was a new game, or it was Strong Saga for Dragon Ball Score, and they were just having a blast, and they were smiling, and I was like, "All right, I'll play it." And I fell in love with it. Within like 3 weeks, I was going to my first regional. I got 4th place there, and I won like $50 or whatever it was, a bunch of foils, and then a foil deck. So like I was hooked on the tournament scene from then on. And then whenever I played other games, I never could get as involved as Dragon Ball, because we used to just sit and watch and play the game while the show was on. And that was the best. Like there's nothing more I probably have ever enjoyed in my life than just watching the original anime air, and then you're just, like Cell Saga. We watched Cell Saga, for Gohan blasting him while we're playing a match and being like, hold on, pause. Something, I just want to, oh yeah. Okay. Block,
Interesting.
But I really think it's also, the other part was, I can see where the money is in Dragon Ball. And to me, Dragon Ball is the highest profit margins you can make in any card game. And I really, truly believe that, which is why we do Dragon Ball and we don't do Pokemon. And that was when I had distributor access. Like I just lost my distributor access because we stopped working with the store. But I didn't buy up Pokemon, because to me, Pokemon is mass produced. There's just too much of it. Dragon Ball has such unique items that you can acquire and kind of like get to the right collectors. Whereas with Pokemon, those things are so priced out. Like, I don't know if it's fake or not, but what's the boxer who's famous for the Pikachu necklace? What's his name?
Logan Paul.
Yeah, Logan Paul. Him posting the TikTok of his Illustrator Pikachu being fake. I don't know if that's
fake.
Yeah, but that could have been real, right? Like you just never know. But you're paying, $1 million for a card, or hundreds of thousands of dollars for a card, for something that's like what, 1 of 20, 1 of 30. For Dragon Ball, you're talking, what was it? We just bought a Shenron and resold it. I think the guy only paid $5,000. There's only 6 that exist in the entire world. That's criminally cheap for how rare the item is. And you can have something that like only 6 people in the entire world have. Like for me, that's way better. And because people don't know about it, you don't have as many fish in the sea.
Yeah.
No, that's very true. I agree with that. I think it's just a smaller crowd that Dragon Ball has touched is probably. But maybe with this new show coming out, maybe that'll bring it, breathe life back into it, or breathe a younger demographic and include people to maybe open the door to look into OG Dragon Ball and Z and
The
all the stuff.
licensor already let a card happen, so that's huge. Like the fact that Dayama already has a card before it's even aired, like that's a big deal.
Yeah.
So
the example. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Go.
No, I was saying like Daima for example, like someone like Javier, right? He's got kids, bro. So like, Bro Namath had said in the last episode too that he was like, he's like, it's what I grew up on. He goes, I'll get to watch with my kids, and hopefully they, I can push them to like that, or they'll fall in love with it themselves, and that sparks the collector idea into children early, and I'm sure Javi, right? You'd agree that it'll probably be the same for you and your kids.
Well, hopefully. I mean, that's the plan. Catch their eye, because I mean, let's be honest. Everything that you look at now, not to get off topic, real quick, is like all these Disney movies that are coming out when they remake them off of Netflix or Amazon Prime or whatever. All the cartoons now are like super animated and look bubbly, like the new Diamond's gonna look like. It's just to catch their eyes and attention.
Yeah.
And it may not be just for kids. Like it's meant to be fun. Like he didn't like that's a weird part about it is like Dragon Ball was more about fun, which was the purpose, of what the creator wants. He wants to go back to the fun, not be as intense. But like those were some adult concepts back then. Like, you've got Goku, blasting right through Piccolo at one point, like jumping right through his torso,
Yeah, but like even then, like when you think about like for Dragon Ball, the growth of Goku as a child, like Kamei blasting a car, right? Like things like that, like they, in a sense, it's still that bubbly feeling. Like that's what we watched too. Like at one point, we were the kids of today that are going to watch Daima. So I don't know. Yeah. I think that it's going to be super beneficial to everybody in the long run. That's how I feel. At first, I was totally against it personally. As I'm sure most people that watch the trailer for it, they're like, oh no, fuck this shit. We want Super 2. But like, let's be realistic. It's not going to happen until the next 3 arcs are complete. So I don't think that we shouldn't expect that at least until for like another year or two. So I'm content with it. I'm happy with what we get.
Yeah,
I agree.
Anything's better. Like, and the fact that it's meant to be a bridge, like I really like that. It's meant to be a bridge between the events of Super and Dragon Ball Z, right? So he wants to introduce characters so that way he can properly develop Super 2. Now, it sucks that we have to wait, and we've been waiting forever, right? But, I just saw somebody post for the manga, like Serial and all the other people. And my understanding is you don't really get very good development until later in the manga after they're introduced. So they're kind of like introduced, there's fighting, and then later on, these characters get like backstory. So now he's doing the opposite. He's fixing that kind of error. So we're probably going to get, I would hope, and like that's where like if you're investing in Dragon Ball, it's going to be really good, probably 3-4 years down the line, because he's building up the story to connect these characters. And if he does that, and then now when we get to Super, hey, look, Serial's back, or any of these other characters, and it's like, oh, okay, like okay, we learned about them. And now I know why.
Yeah. Yeah, no, 100% agree.
So, backing up a little bit to your tournaments, obviously you played in a lot of tournaments. Do you have like a favorite memory or a favorite, maybe a favorite tournament just in general that you played in, maybe a favorite prize or all of the above?
Man, that's a toughie. It's usually it's the meals after. So like I said, I don't it's not like I have a ton of friends as an adult. Like I hang out with the people I hang out with. I go to the gym, you come home. It's not like like you get the board game night like once every 2 weeks. Like a lot of life is just work and then repeat, like next thing you know it's the next day and you're like, "Dang, you don't get as much time as you think you do." So when we all meet up, it's usually the meals. That's really the part that I always remember. We had a really cool crew. One of the guys, he just unfortunately moved to Korea. But we'd always go for Korean barbecue, and he is Korean,
Mm.
and so he would just cook for all of us. So like that was always the blast because we'd just be talking and hanging out, and he would just be making all the food perfect. And we'd be there for like 2 hours. It felt like, and you're just like having a good time. For matches wise, probably Australia was one of my favorite to go back to because everyone was really cool. Like I said, it was just fun to see everybody. I brought like giveaways and stuff from that we used to use on Whatnot that we had extra, and they liked it. But then me and John, the guy who won nationals this year, he was my testing partner. So it was really cool to like, I was first and he was second in Swiss, and we played once. He won, and then it was really just a good time when we made it to the finals because I couldn't go back to Worlds again, right? Like they made the Gingerfusion rule, and you have to be from your nation now to go to World Championship. So we weren't playing for anything. We were just playing for that title, like which one of us is going to be champion, which one of us is second place. But both of us get a gold card. Either way, he's going to go to Worlds. And so, although we were on stream and it was still a lot of pressure, it was really nice just to play a game with a friend. And at one point, like he started to do something, and he's like, "Oh, I don't know if I should do that." And I was like, "Well, just take a second." He's like, "Well, this is for the finals." And I'm like, "What for? What prize? Like, what are we playing for? Like, come on, like, let's just have fun." So that was a really nice. That's probably the only time I've ever got to the finals with a friend like that, where we've tested. Because usually you knock each other out in like top four. The odds of meeting in the finals for the final championship, I'm guessing that's a 1 in 100 chance if there's 100 people there.
Still pretty dope though, to be able to play with your buddy.
Yeah.
Last.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, then we just went to food together and hung out, and he got to be, everyone being like, he's the champ, and I'm just there like, yep, I lost.
Yeah.
Has the rematch happened though?
We've played a lot since then. Yeah, I mean, he's getting ready for Worlds, and I'm getting ready for Latin America. So it's always weird when we play, because it's like, it's you kind of just forget, that we were just, we played. Thank you. And we're just testing again. So it's so unique because I just sent him like a list. He sends me back his list. And it's just a nice relationship to have with somebody. But like that didn't exist 20 years ago. Like I didn't know people in Australia that I was, trying to IM to come up with deck lists.
It's crazy how this hot, even across countries, across the world, across states, whatever you want to say, it's crazy how many relationships and bonds are formed through such a, small pieces of cardboard.
Yeah. I mean, it's just you're just having fun. Like games are really cool things because they equalize you. Like that's the only thing I've always enjoyed about it was you're just playing a deck for somebody else with a deck, but like there's no advantage going into the match. Like you have your game, they have their game, but you're just playing a game. Like there's no social economic changes. There's no there's no race, there's no all these who has the most education, all these things that could affect your life. And did you get brought into a military family, did you grow up rich, all these things that can affect your life to develop relationships. When you sit down with the cards, you're just playing cards. Like there's none of that noise of the world, generally speaking, unless you're on stream, and it's just stressful as can be because everyone at home is judging you. I've heard from many people how bad I did in the finals, and they were like, "Man, if you just would have done this and this," and I was like, "Well, I didn't. Thanks though for pointing it out. Appreciate the help there."
It's just better, bro. Like you would have come back with another championship. Why
Yeah,
didn't you just
like
play?
so many people were like, "Hey, did you try to drop that game?" And I was like, "Yeah," because me, the guy who loves saying he's champ, would totally just give up that title for no reason. Who brands off of being a champion would just be like, no, your turn, take it. But it doesn't matter. Like you screw up, that's the hardest part, is that you have to say, cool. Next game, next match, and then those are a little bit harder, obviously, because there is no next match. Like when you're like for a week or so after you leave the finals, you just remember that for the whole plane ride home, how you screwed up.
Yeah. So
Well, that
real
being
quick,
said,
just go ahead. Sorry, go ahead, Javi.
no, take it away, gun.
No. I was going to touch on something else. Go ahead. You're good.
No, I was just gonna.
I'm just gonna shut the fuck up. I'm just gonna shut the fuck up. I'm gonna shut up. Turn my mic off.
What we do to take over for the champ, right?
It means you're doing well, though. I mean, if you got people that are cheering against you or telling you suck, you must be awesome. Like that's got to be a confidence booster in itself.
Yeah, it's not at all. It's so weird because those people that are personalities online, they do such a good job of it. And it's like, people will send me like I used to have a really cool what was it called? Life coach. Like that's what I got last year. Like try to help with like managing the bipolar and stuff. And they're like try to find like a good mental health balance. And they sing these videos and like these guys talk and they're like, when you're climbing up the mountain, people root for you because they remember the dreams they used to have. But when you get to the top of the mountain, they root against you because they realize the dreams they gave up on. And it's like, they always say like crap like that, right? And it sounds so cool. And like they act like nothing bothers them. And it's like, no, like it's the opposite. Like I'm still just a sensitive little dork. Like I play card games. I talk about Dragon Ball. Like I'm still yes. If you guys have ever read my book, if you haven't, plug for Descent into Sanity. You can read it on Amazon by Robert Rizzi. 5 out of 5 stars. Keep it going.
You can find that. I'm going to link that to our Instagram too. You guys can actually when we do a post video or the post for the podcast, I will link that book so you guys can check it out.
Hey, it's free if you have Amazon Prime. I get a whole penny if you read the whole thing. But like in that era, like that's my military version of Rob. Sure, that version of Robbie, his feelings probably would have been hurt. He was a jerk and he was angry and he was violent. You'll hear a lot about violence in the book. People did things to me and I choked them out. And then they choked me out many times. Like I did not win many of my fights, but I fought. I fought a lot. And so it's very graphic. If you do read the book, it's ironically, it is a positive book and it focuses on mental health and like rehabilitation. But that's not who I am now. Like I am just a softie. I have been out of the military for years. I have a super soft wife who's just super nice about stuff. Like we watch Disney movies and, we cry at happy things. So when people post stuff, I've had to learn just to like my block list is so big on Facebook. Because like I would really just like to not be on Facebook. But branding wise, it's so good for sales. It's so good for marketing. And it's just how you do well. But then literally like these last posts, I screwed up in an event and I used an effect incorrectly called Kotsukai. And so people would just post on my stuff being like, oh, is that the special draw to, and stuff. And they'll post these things. I'm just like, okay, block. And it's like, it's so nice to just be like, hey man, like cool. You don't want to be part of like my story. There's no negativity for me for you. I have no idea who you are and I will probably never see you again. And I hope I never do. Like go live your life, go do your thing. But yeah, I don't know how to do that. Like, that badass mentality. Like that's kind of like what The Rock would do, right? Like they show you in the movies, people be like, they'd insult The Rock and he'd be like, oh, you think that's funny? And then like they smack his face into like a telephone pole and walk away. You can't do that, right? Like these guys get to post on the forums and they hate you and you don't have a clue who they are. And you're just like, well, like you want to fight back. You want to be like, well, like, and anything you say, it's not going to explain it. Like I tried to talk about, in the most recent video about, like mental health where I was winning events. Like I think that was during COVID. I talk about the mannequin stuff, but like the only time I've ever tried to kill myself was when I was doing well in the card games, and we talked about that and we bring it up a lot in our channel, like it's an open thing. Cause in my mind, everyone should talk about mental health and people are being like, yeah, man, you're just bringing up mental health to get out of jail now. And I was like, whoa, we've been doing this for years. Like you don't get to be against the mental health now that Like, you don't find it convenient that we talk about it. Like, no, just block. But yeah, it's very weird too, because like it's also testing wise, it's more interesting because a lot of players will test with us and we'll share deck ideas, but then suddenly people who I used to like share all kinds of deck lists with don't want to work with me now, and they're like, "Well, you've been winning a lot of events. I don't think you need to help." But it's like, oh, but don't like we used
Yeah,
to
but
like.
it's a two-way street, right? It's like you're helping them,
like-
they're helping you. You know, that's the thing,
Right.
right?
What?
People get in this position or this mindset where they're like, you know, oh, you know what? Fuck him because I'm not a winner and he is. How's this benefit? You know, but that's just that closed-minded idea that it's just like, you know, I'm not going to get anything out of it because I'm giving him all my good stuff. But like at the end of the day, if what you were giving him was so good, you should be winning as well. So like,
That's exactly what I was gonna say.
Yeah, I mean that's why John.
Like, logic.
Yeah, John literally just got first because he was my testing partner, and he wouldn't give me as much credit as I gave him. But like that's how I got second. Like we worked together on our lists, and then we were first and second at the event. And it's weird too because I think that is kind of the progression of being a gamer, and that's how you can kind of tell where you're at as a gamer. So it starts out when you're like, oh, it's me versus all 520 people at the event. Then you start to believe in yourself a little bit, and you're like, okay, it's me versus the top 50% of the event. And then you kind of have that confidence more, and you're like, hey, it's me versus the top players. And then you'll whittle it down to like your top, like who you're afraid to play. You're like, hey, as long as I dodge, Michael Carrick, Jared Lopez, which are the top two other players in the game, in my opinion, man, I can win. But then once you start to win a lot of events, you start to really realize it was never me versus you. It was me versus me. And it sounds so corny to say it, but if you can stay in the game and you can just play a game, you can win so easily. Like it's a different mindset. But if you start all of a sudden worrying about your opponent and outside factors and you leave the game where you're at, you screw up. So it's very different as you progress in that level.
So
you know,
with all the competitions you've done, Ginger, I'm sure we're just done talking about all the memorable stuff and all that. I'm sure you get all that hate. What would you say would be the most memorable, worst experience you've had during your whole competitions?
Man, I think it was the digging deep was probably for me because I didn't know kind of how to deal with it. And so like I had to learn that process to be like, it doesn't really matter. Like I didn't use the block button, right? Like I think that was probably the worst because it's mostly I don't know if it's for all people, but I can definitely say as a bipolar person, whatever you're saying about me, my internal demons are going to be saying way worse things, right? So like if you're like, man, you should know better, you're a good player. Man, you think you're that. Well, I'm dumb enough to believe in myself to travel across the world to go to a tournament. So my internal voice is like, you dumbass, with the like just cussing, just brutally, mad at myself for making mistakes because you have to put yourself on that kind of a pedestal. So
Yeah.
It's weird too, is it's mostly it shows me the distance, and then there's certain people like not to name too many names because I don't want to get people blasted, but there was a player like at Gen Con like a year later, so you're like no more mistakes, no issues, and then a year later at Gen Con I drew 2 cards from a different effect that I thought I drew 2, and I announced I drew 2, and I was like, I'm gonna use this so I can draw 2, and then I start to draw the second card. I don't even draw the second card yet, but I start to reveal it. So I've seen it's a yellow card, and he's like, no, you only draw 1. And I start to say something like, okay, let's call the judge, we'll fix this. He says, no, it's fine, don't worry about it, you haven't drawn it, no big deal. So I did another effect, I drew the card. I thought I was done with, like, hey, I made a mistake, we fixed it, and he went on to win the match anyway. I could have drawn 60 cards, it wouldn't have mattered. But then one of his buddies made a post, and his buddies was attacking me on the forum, being like, oh, Robert Cheatsy. That's where the origin of him trying to use that, because my name's Reetsy. And you got to admit, branding wise, that does sound really good. Like it brings out that beautiful like 5th grade level of like teasing someone, like, all have you done is change 2 letters. It's hilarious. Can't argue, right? And so I messaged that player being like, hey man, we had a good game. We hung out at the event. Like, I thought we were friends. Can you, speak up for me? And the dude was like, hey, man, those are my teammates. I'm not responsible for them. It is what it is.
Fucking pussy.
And I heard that. And what I heard was, oh, man, well, at least he's considered my feelings. And I guess I'll deal with it myself. But what he was really saying is, nah, screw you. I'm the one who's letting them post on your behalf. We're not friends. Like, we've never been friends. I just tolerate you at events. And I'm basically getting to bash you without having to bash you. And so you kind of have to realize is that, on the internet, just because you see a name, for all you know, it's a different person, Yeah. So it's kind of like you just kind of learn that you're like, okay, well, if we're not friends, we're probably not friends.
Fucking keyboard warriors, man. I'm telling you, everyone's real tough till you get punched in your mouth. And that's the truth.
Yeah,
I got a quick question.
I still have a wolf tooth from the last time I got punched in the face. That shit hurts.
So, just thinking here, the cheatsy thing, was that a missed branding opportunity?
No,
right back in their face.
Brandon said the same thing, man. You win world, you come out with it, and I think for me, it's more so like this is it sucks because it's like I really like these positive quotes because if you are like me and you think way too much about like what people say or where your mistakes are, these quotes are awesome for putting you in the present, right? Like they just take you out of wherever you're at. And so I get in this habit of like memorizing quotes, and memorizing them, and watch me screw this one up now. But it's winners focus on winning. Losers focus on why. It doesn't even make any sense in some ways because you're like, oh, that's not really true. We're trying to do those. No, but like you really are. If you're trying to win, that's really what I'm trying to do. Like right now, my brain is how do I win Latin America? Latin America is
all in.
Yeah, like Latin America is a great format. The players are super awesome, and they don't just play meta decks. They're masters of rogue strategies. They've got Cooler Mill. These guys have spent 2-3 years mastering the deck. And it used to be bad. And they could top with it. Now it's one of the best decks. So they have a huge advantage. So I'm thinking, how do I counter this? What do I focus on? I can either do that, or I can go on the forums and be like, hey guys, will you like me? No, it doesn't matter what I do. They're not going to like me. Like it is what it is. Like, and you just have to really accept it as be like, hey, we're not buddies. We're not going to be friends. And it makes me sad at times because it's like, but it's also partly my fault as well. Like I have, I think Tom Cruise is the same thing. But I suck at faces and names to the point where if I see you and I haven't seen you in about 3 months, I forget what your name and face is. So then you're just like a sea of people, And so I'll go to an event and they'll be like, hey, Rob, how you been? And I'm like, crap, I have no idea who this person is. Like, and, if you're honest about it, people are like, oh, isn't that kind of mean? And you're like, well, no, I really just have no clue. If we don't talk regularly, like we were just talking about this, my best friend from high school, I haven't seen him in 3 years. I cannot envision what his face looks like, Like it's just gone from my memory. And if I saw him on the street, I wouldn't realize it's Mark, and like this is my best friend growing up, but he's just gone,
Adios, Mark.
Yeah, that's just it. Like I'm not a smart enough guy to remember all those people. So that does not help because the other players who are at the top, man, they are, some of them are just awesome people. Like Michael Carrick, that man will remember everyone. He'll remember your mom's name. He'll remember everything you've ever told him. And any story you've given him, yeah, and he's just super nice about it. And I'm more of like, hi, nice to meet you. And they're like, hey, don't you remember we played 3 times? And you're like, of course I remember. Crap.
It's kind of like
the peasants that I beat breaks off of. Sorry.
Yeah, and that's exactly what they think though. So that is 100% that mentality is like people really believe that's why you forget them, and they're like, oh, I wasn't worth remembering. And it's like, well, no, I just forget people. Like if I don't interact with you regularly, like I have to have like announcements in my phone being like, hey, remember, you need to schedule a board game night. Like if it's the ADHD part of me or what it is, but I need to I have to have a system. Otherwise it feels like I'm just bleeping through time, you know?
Oh, that explains why you didn't remember who I was when I first met you at CommandCon.
It
Oh,
was,
snaps.
it happened. That truly happened.
He said you ain't shit. No, I'm just kidding.
No, hold
You
on,
know
dead
what?
ass. I said Ginger. He goes, hi. Who are you?
So you think that's bad? Voice actors called me out and they were like, "Hey, how are you?" And I'm just like, "Hey, nice to meet you." And they're like, "We did a stream together."
Shit.
And I'm just like, "Oh, yeah, I'm just kidding. I know you." And then, it's like, you meet one of them and you're just like, "Oh, yeah." And then all of a sudden, like Linda Young walks by and she's like, "Oh, hey, we're doing a stream tonight." And I'm like, "Oh, thank God for saving me." Like, yeah, hey, I got to go talk to Linda. It was good seeing you again. Like, I'm just very bad at names and faces. So I just need some help. But no one wants to help me. And people love pointing that crap out.
Selective
So-
memory. You can remember a deck and everything that your cards do, but you can't remember the people that you see.
There's a lot I don't remember, which is where the misplays happen. But no, it's just, yeah, like it's where your attention is. Like I've played Baldur's Gate like 3 or 4 times now, and every time it feels like a new playthrough because I forget so many details. I'm like, oh, that's cool. And I'm like, didn't I choose that same? I did. Oh, yeah, I already have the medal for that. Okay, huh?
Dude, that's
Like a brand new episode.
I get the same effects though, because I have ADD. Like, I mean, I'm pretty sure like it's ADHD at this point, where it's like I do stuff and don't realize that I've done it already, just because like you're so hyper focused on the present, versus like, hey, dumbass, you've done this 6 times already. Why don't you do it this way because it makes the most sense? But no, we're gonna go through the trial and error process and we're gonna figure it out all over again. So
That's my problem.
I definitely feel you on that.
Yeah, I just read for the trip. I read the what's it called, Iron Flame or Iron Curtain. I'm trying to think what it is. It's a dragon book. It's very good. And I can't even remember the name of the book. But my wife was like, "Well, what do you tell me about it? Like, should I get it? Should I read it?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's great." The main character, her name is She's like, "You just read 2 books in 48 hours." And I was like, "Yes, I did. That's what I did on the plane ride. I just read these 2 books." And she's like, "You don't remember the main character's name?" And I was like, "I do not. I do not." Her boyfriend's name is Xander. She's like, "What the hell is that?" But
You remember the boyfriend's name.
he's got cool shadow powers. I'm gonna remember that. That's way cooler than the ability to control lightning. Like, yeah, selective memory.
Oh, that's funny. Well, let's get back a little bit on topic though.
Yeah, no
I'm
kidding.
assuming
Half the people just checked out on the stream.
I'm assuming you've probably gotten some like amazing stuff throughout your competitions and stuff like that. But tell us a little bit about your starting of a collection, and that's just kind of even before you started competing and all that.
I would say there wasn't really one. Like, I am notorious, especially for life. I've always been poor. Like, I grew up, a military kid, went into the army, and then, like, we always had money for like stuff of like, my dad got us a Nintendo when we were kids, so we had enough money to have something. But then, like, it was just a matter of like, you had to save up to get your next item. And so, back then, I can't remember what it was EB Games or what, you always got ready to trade in your item for the next one, right? So that's kind of where my foundation was for even cards. Like you had a deck, you sold the deck to make your next deck. You only ever had one. And I did this all the way up to 2019. Whenever I would play a new deck, I would try it. And that was from Magic versus Dragon Ball. There's been a lot of games where I have just been that mentality where I was effectively always chasing this dream, kind of like a gambler's fallacy. Like, eventually I'll make a lot of money and I can afford something. Well, it was true. It happened in 2019. But it took 20 years of playing card games. So I never really collected anything. And so the only things I had were a few Pokemon cards my mom kept in a binder, where I have like my Mew is like bent like 7 times over.
Let me get that.
Game on whatnot.
So
I
let me
kept
get
using, I
that.
kept being like, "Does anybody want this Mew? Do we have a Mew game?" It was awesome. And
Yep.
eventually somebody bought it for like $12, and I was like, "You can trade this Mew in for a Tournament of Power pack, or you can keep it. It was $3, your choice." And they took the Tournament of Power pack. But yeah, like I didn't collect, and I didn't understand the value of collecting. And I just thought it was crazy. I thought it was crazy to keep something like that. And then I started to collect pops a little bit, when that era of 2014 started. But then pops just kept accumulating and accumulating. And so I had a few of those, but I had nothing else. And then in 2019, I started brokering for everyone. So that's where I got a lot of my business of how you collect, what you do with it. Yeah, I like it. Background. Like the worst part is I can grab all these pops that are now like super rare, like not just any pop. This is a Red Ranger NFT pop, only available limited. What was this? 1,800 pieces. Like we don't just have a regular Red Ranger. We have the special ones. But yeah, like, and then in 2019 when I was brokering, that's how I would accept my payment. I didn't get money because people would give me inventory. And so they'd be like, "Hey, I owe you $250. Will you accept this first edition PSA 5 Charizard of, Dark Charizard?" "Absolutely, sure, I'll take that." And I kept just trading for assets. And then I got so many
Smart.
assets, you can't see it very well. I'm gonna try something on the thing here, and this completely screws up our thing here. Just act like I didn't do it.
Here we go.
You can
Big
see
brain,
behind
big
me.
brain.
Yeah, right here. Oh, did it work? Nope. We're going to show you. We're going to click none again. Change background. Okay, boom.
Boom.
If you see behind me, there's this big display of these slabs right behind me. Well, I got so many slabs that were extra from people that I started to say, you know what? I don't need to sell these. I want to keep them. I want to collect them. And then at the same time frame, if you guys see the big giant cards, when you started to win events or do well at them, Dragon Ball would reward you on top of getting cards with like a top 3, giant card.
That's
And so-
sick.
But
That is-
I didn't know. Well, I didn't know anything about collecting, so you can really tell the difference if you look over. Well, you can't see it here, but if you just believe me, in my videos, you'll see these ones that are in top loaders because these are super rare items. Well, those are protected and those are sealed and they won't get damaged, right? Well, I didn't know anything about collecting, so those are in frames with 2-sided tape on the cardboard.
Oh no.
No.
Safety first.
My
Because
heart.
we wanted to make sure they stayed on the wall.
My
Yeah,
heart.
That
Never.
Dragon Ball is a one of 3, I believe, in the world of a giant Dragon Ball.
Oh,
If
no.
that, because it's connected to the Porunga. I don't know if that's for sure what the final number was. Maybe they came out somewhere else. Let's say it's 1 of 10. Well, it's still worth like $250 to $500. Or in my case, it's worth nothing because the back of it is full of tape. So I kind of had to learn a lot, because I didn't understand the value of protecting something. I just wanted to have it, and it was mine. Like I didn't care. There's something nice about that. But then as I started to collect more things, I understood the value of holding. And then when you need assets or you need cash to finally move it, well, it's a lot easier to do when you don't tape your items.
To the wall.
Yeah, like it's funny too because it's these little changes. Like we have a ton of cells in Doga now. We traded for, before the announcement came out, we traded for about $10,000 in cells and Dogas. We literally just have tons of them. We haven't figured out how to get rid of them yet and how to get them to people because I don't want them to go all of a sudden for hundreds of thousands of dollars. I want them to go to people who've been a part of our agency, but I still want to make a few bucks off of it. But I have like little frames for it. But the hardest part has been trying to put them in the frames without tape or the the glue. And so we've been trying all these different things. Well, that would have never happened. In 2019, I would have been like sticky glue, put it on, just ruin these national treasures,
Hey, listen, I'll volunteer myself for any Vegetos that you have.
Yeah, I have. I did. We have the original first ever appearance of Vegito, Cell, and Doga.
I need it. I need it.
Yeah.
Give it
Said
to
I
me.
need it.
So technically, the Doga is going to the guy who bought my second place paper card as a gift to him for paying in cash. Thank you, my friend. We appreciate your support. But I still have the Cell. But yeah, it's wild to me because we did the same thing with Gotenks. So I have the first ever appearance of Gotenks, the Cell and the Doga, and a few other things like that. But the prices were so criminal because other people are kind of like where I was 3 years ago. They were like, these aren't that rare. And you're like, all right, yeah.
Okay.
How much was it? Was it? Say again?
I said $1,800, $2,000 later. Yeah.
Yeah. Like it's wild too, because that's about the number a lot of these trades were, like 2,000 and so on. But it's really easy to do when you have black labels and various stuff, because you're like, sure, what black labels do you want? And in some cases, it's super easy and you can get trades going. But then some people are like, no, I only want cash. And you're like, well, I'm cash poor right now, so no.
Yeah. Where do you see Dragon Ball going moving forward?
It's weird because I really honestly, I feel like I used to be one of those people every year. I'd always sell my collection because I'd be like, oh, Dragon Ball's going to die. Dragon Ball's going to die. I used to always be one of those people. And then now I'm so far on the opposite spectrum where I'm buying so much. And a lot of our profit is actually from this time of the year. We spent several $1,000s in Australia, like from prize cards and different stuff that people had, because they were like, well, if the game's dying, I want to get out. And I was like, okay, cool. I'll buy your stuff. And they were like, well, it's probably worth this, but I'll take this. And I was like, all right, well, I'll give you even less then. You think it's dying? Like, if you just want to sell out, I'm happy to sell out for you. And most of those items we can flip very fast because it's kind of the opposite. Like you just mentioned, you're a fan of Vegito. We got that gold card and I won 2 gold card Vegitos this year. Those sold so fast. Nobody bought those.
I remember reaching out to you like literally the day after you posted. You're like, yeah, it's gone. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah. I mean, and it's so weird because I still have UI Goku, which I never thought would happen, but I do. Hey,
I need it.
Let's talk. We can trade. You don't even have to give me cash. I've just had it for too long now. But you didn't, like, if you wanted that card, you weren't necessarily buying it to flip. You probably just wanted it, right? Like there's probably 32 Vegitos that exist in the world, maybe 64 of that really cool gold, right? If that was Pokemon, can you imagine what the price of a 32 or 64 Pikachu would be? That was made of gold.
Yeah,
Jesus.
Dude, the amount that the trophies go for. Imagine a gold, like, that'd be nuts, dude. Gold Pikachu? If the trophies are going for, like, what, 8, 10K? That card
Dude,
would probably be...
A lot more than that, but yeah, you can get at least 8 to 10K.
I don't even look at those cards. I can't even afford to look at them.
Yeah, I mean, like, literally,
I stay in my lane. That's it.
yeah, you can't even dream. Like, we got the Van Gogh card for $150, and it came with a plushie. We were fine with paying that price.
I have a couple here somewhere. I don't know where they're at.
And we just got a PSA 10, and right now we're like, man, should we just sell that and go find like a PSA 5? Because we don't care. Like, it's just like, we can just make so much money on Pokemon, but like, why is that card so much for how many are out there? Whereas Dragon Ball, it's the opposite. So I think as long as you don't have stores really messing with the market, I think Dragon Ball continues to do well. And I think that's what makes it do well, is that people who don't know the product don't want to invest in it. Like I always make the joke, one of the best buyers we ever got a hold of, I really enjoyed the guy, and he's too big and like for me to really talk to a lot. Like, it's 26 Collectibles. Follow him on Instagram. The guy can literally buy every card in the world. If we ever get a point where a guy like that, with that much power, decides to buy up the rare things, none of us can even think about getting them because he could do it so fast. And the price points are insane. Like, I'm charging, I think, $1,700 for a graded, pristine Universe 7 trophy top 16. 138 exist. So it's a perfect card, minus, it's not a black label. It's off center. It's the best you could get. So I have a nice profit margin on them because I paid less raw. But at $1,700, you can't beat that point. And as long as Dragon Ball continues to do that, it makes it more fun, in my opinion, than like when we collect the Pokemon, because like usually you have to sell your Pokemon to afford the cheaper ones. Like we had a Rayquaza poncho, and Jane was like, "Do you think it's really $3,000?" And I was like, "It can't be." She's like, "I don't know. I'm seeing a lot of people for $3,000." And I was like, "Well, what happens if it goes for like 1,500?" She's like, "We got it for like $300 2 years ago." I was like, "I know. Like it shouldn't be. Like it's not rare."
You're
How
killing
many-
me.
Sorry.
You're killing me.
Pocket's sick.
And so we voted up on eBay for $1 and we got several thousand. And she just went on eBay buying every Pikachu she thought was cute. She was like, click, 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 click. She still has like $1,000 left in her account because if you get the mainstream items, it's so impossible to get. And like, who's going to profit on that card now? Like, where's it going to go? Like, where's the ceiling on that card? Because how many thousands are up there of that card?
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
That's true.
It's
Wow.
once you get that one particular, I see it a lot, especially on Instagram. People are constantly chasing like these big cards, dude. And like, it's not like, whoever gives me the best price is the one I'm going with. They're like, name your price and I'll buy it. Like that's the kind of
Yeah.
people that are buying those cards. And that's I think that's like one of the biggest, I wouldn't say hindrances in Dragon Ball, but like everyone's after whatever they can get for as cheap as they can get, right? Everyone's a fucking hustler. Everyone wants to be like, yo, I'm not going to buy it for 5 under TCG low. I want it for free, basically. I literally want to give you nothing for this card. And that's the thing. People become buyers, I would say collectors or buyers become resellers because they see that they can make money on the cards, especially if they can get them for cheap or lowball somebody. And I don't know.
I don't know if it's the same in the Dragon Ball world, but just coming from the Pokemon world, like as far as like if I were to walk into a card shop, a Pokemon shop, and try and offload like say the Moonbreon that I have, it's like a I don't know $580 card raw and maybe 12 to 1500 in like a 10. If I walked into a card shop, they would give me 65 to 75% of the actual value. You go to a card show, maybe you'll get 75 to 80%. Is it like that in the Dragon Ball world too? Like if you were to try
It's
and
a lot.
No?
So Dragon Ball is very weird because that's the traditional market for stores, right? Like that's why I say is like if you see a store closing, generally speaking, of like a brick and mortar, it's because they got away from that market, right? Like what makes a store profitable is they're basically just thrift shops or pawn shops.
Pawn
You
shops,
turn,
yeah.
yeah, they're basically just a pawn shop for nerdiness and fun. And they got away from that, especially like we saw people get burned on Battle Spirits and a lot of other card games because they think now their profit should be on boxes or sealed product, but they've always made their money on the fact that they can buy an item that's worth $100 for 50, resell it for 100, and then double their money and consistently do that. With Dragon Ball, it's kind of the opposite, is that the ultra high end is never as impacted by the price. So if somebody wants it, stores will contact me. Like some stores bought Apex of Powers when I had them. It was worth 10,000. They offered 8,000 cash, 2,000 in trade. They were willing to pay the full value to get these super rare items. I don't know what they were then charging people, but they just wanted to get it to a customer. But if it's a person, that's like trying to buy them up, it could be as low as you're getting like $1,000 offer, like 10% of its value, and the liquid nature of Dragon Ball is the reason why it's so profitable and why it is potentially so unprofitable. So Dragon Ball on a liquid level, I would say Pokemon is the most liquid, right? Up to a certain point, right? If you have a card that's very popular, you just post it on a forum, someone wants to buy it immediately, right?
Yeah.
With Dragon Ball, I have some of the rarest items. Some of them sit and I get super confused because I don't get why that item's sitting when I get tons of requests for it. But then another item will sell instantly. Like Shenron. Shenron sat for months. It's a GT character. He's not as popular. One person messaged me and was like, hey, I want to buy that. I rebought a second copy because the price was too good to pass up, where they wanted that cash, but they didn't want to wait. A week went by and I resold it also for that same price. So I got a huge profit margin because I was willing to wait.
Hmm.
But that's the problem with Dragon Ball is you have to wait for the right buyer. But you can't, like, if you get into a $10,000 card, you could have
That's a
that card for 5 years before you
that's a
can find
big
someone.
buyer.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
yeah.
I always say most people in the Dragon Ball community are the $50 buyers. So if your card's about $50, it's very easy to unload it. As you go up to 100, your buyers go down. Once you get to 500, considerably down. Once you're above 1,000, I think I know all the people who can afford above 1,000 for a card.
Gunny.
Yeah.
No,
And the
far.
people that are up in the really big stuff, like golds, the silvers, all these like perfect cards. I mean, they're mostly lawyers, they're mostly doctors. They just want to have these things that they just want to have something that's really cool for them. And like they'll buy themselves presents. Like one of them just bought themselves a present for like passing a doctorate thing. He's like, "Hey, what do you have in the price range of $3,000?" And I was like, "Well, I got these," you know.
I saw Ginger sent me a photo earlier. He's like, I got these for a trade. I'm like, oh shit, what we trading, dude? What do you want that I have?
Your soul.
I'm like, do you got some
Somebody
dry
else messaged me
cleans?
about a trade, and I was driving, so I'm the passenger
Yo,
with the
he likes
dog,
Ninja
and I'm like, yeah, here you
Turtles.
go. Here's our current trades. We just put out all our black labels and some of our high end. So it's like 30 cards in a picture, and he's like, cool, yeah, let's trade. But why are we trading? I'm like, oh crap, wrong text. Like here.
I saw that. I was like, damn, bro, he must really want all those fucking drip cards I got. I was like, I'll trade them. Let's do it.
The ones you sent me.
The one is
sent me drip cards. I was on stream like, are these real? And everyone's like, ah, shit, here we go.
You said you like freezing, bro.
we
So
got
I
a
was like, hey, here's a
question
little
for you.
freezer for you.
We got a question for Mr. Ginger here. Forgotten Warrior has, if 2019 and 2020 was the high in the market, when will be the next high? Is there an economic environment best suited for the growth?
Wow, that is a very advanced question past my pay grade. But I will give my completely unqualified answer because that's an interesting question. When you see stuff like that, I don't know. It's so hard. I'm trying to formulate this thought. You can see my brain just explode because there's so much I want to talk about and not rant. So I'm trying to put it together. I think we're already at the start of what I think is going to be a boom. And that's how it feels for me. The difference is the amount of people that have the power to have these items is going down and they need help to get them. So, even people who buy my golds now are like, hey, can you trade assets and take cash? And I say, absolutely, but you're paying full price then. And they go, fair enough. Now, if they want cash only price, that goes down. Like I'm happy to just take cash only. I'm in it for a lot cheaper. But if you want to be way under, it's asset based, right? I think this is kind of where it is that we have a lot of people who are willing to trade for items and that want your items. I have some cool Kingdom Hearts graded what are these called? Console games. I've got the original Turtles over here. Those were trades where people message me and they're like, hey, I want to get into Dragon Ball. Can we trade? I think if you're willing to trade, you're already in the boom and you can get everything. Like someone just told me to make a post and I'm going to. I need a new computer. Apparently several people have computers that they can build themselves for cheap and they will have no problem trading up for like, I'll offer them $1,500 for $1,000 in trades. So they give me a computer, it costs them $1,000. Hey, they get $1,500 to $1,700 in cards, and I don't have to worry about selling it. So now it's becoming like a barter system. Go ahead.
So you said you need a computer, and I happen to need Pokemon cards. So
see, and I won't lie to you, man.
What do you need? You need a computer? I got one right here, bro. What's up? Fully loaded.
I got a laptop back there.
Yeah.
I got another one
Vegeta
over
ready to
there.
go.
I got this grainy little computer here that it didn't used to charge past 60%, and then finally they did an update when I was about to buy one, and now it charges again. And I was like, hey, one of those updates worked. But yeah, no, I think we're already in this world where it's not a boom, right? Because the economy is not booming. But cards, collectibles, all this stuff is so ingrained that everybody I interact with knows about it. They want a piece of it. The problem is nobody has any power in the world in comparison to where we were 2 years ago. So we have to there's going to be some social changes anyway, right? Like tax to rich. I don't know how that's going to work out, but whatever's going to change as we develop, the boom has kind of made it where now these are so ingrained that when I tell people who I am, they're like, oh, let me guess, collectibles. Oh man, that's got to be a good business to be a part of. They immediately follow me on Instagram. They're curious about it. I meet with guys who are worth millions of dollars and they want to know about my tournaments. They want to know about my rare cards. And they're like, dude, that's so cool. That card's worth $4,000. I can see paying that. And I'm like, would you like to? And they're like, well, no, I don't collect. But it's so weird because 20 years ago, there was no one in my circle. I did not bring up that I was a card player on dates until like date 20. I wasn't gonna be like, hey babe, check out my sleeve deck over here. It's pretty nice. Like you did not
Wow.
talk about this stuff. Like nerdy stuff was, you were nerds. It wasn't cool. Now it's 100% the opposite.
We
wanna
had
touch
that
my-
whole conversation. We had that whole conversation with Bro Namath, how cultural shift happened and it became super acceptable to be like that nerd, and like it was like, even the toughest of kids were like, yeah, I watch Luffy. You know what I mean? It's just like now it's like I don't really know if, but I think that you're absolutely right.
Yeah, and I think you're thinking about like who you just had on the show, Bromath. He's my biggest supporter, probably, or at least in my top 3 of people who buy from me, right? We hang out for a little bit, we talk anime, we do stuff. We couldn't be more different of guys. Man, that guy's about sports. He's lifting every day in the gym. He looks like a guy who has money, knows how to keep his money, and he's got his shit together. Like he's one of those guys who are you almost hate him because of how much he has his stuff together, right? And then over here, you just have me being a dork, being like, hey, I'm going to go play cards in Australia. And then we're able to, his world wants to be a part of my world and they want to merge. To me, that's just a huge sign that his world can actually look at it as status, right? Like he's got the black labels. There's no question about it, right? How many of you are jealous of his collection? I'll raise my hand, right? Like we all are jealous of him, but none of us are jealous for the things that the regular person might be jealous, right? He's got fancy cars. I could care a shit about that. Like, cool. Like you're wasting your money. Like I don't give a shit. My car does the same thing as your car. But your black labels, now that's power. That's something really cool, right?
I'm bricked up.
Yeah, like this is a whole nother level of awesome. And you see this kind of change of it's changing our society, it's changing our norms. Because now it's a Venn diagram of like our interests and how interlocked our hobbies are, it kind of shows how much the growth is what I would say is another correction. But the difference is, I think those corrections become more of like what the original was. Like what you mentioned before is like that 60 to 80%. The reason why stores buy it at that percent was they can charge 100 or 110% and they make a little bit of money. Part of the problem in the hobby is people getting burned. We have a anti-burn policy in my business. And if you get burned on one of your purchases, we offer you something at either cost or close to cost to try to help you get closer to your thing. Not everyone's going to do that. They can't afford to do it. But you're going to see more of that where your margins have to be closer. Like we tell people who want to buy the news cards what we bought them for, what we're in, and where our minimum is if they want to trade. I think that's where you start to see the real growth happen, because it doesn't make sense I think comics is the best example. Comics were charging people insane amounts of money for like key issues that they got for like $300, before the boom. Now they're like, well, this is $2,000. And you're like, well, I'd that appreciate so much in 2 years now that the economy's gone down. So people don't want to get burned. And so I think you have to have kind of like a recovery phase where people just kind of get more trust in it, because too many people are trying to flip for what I consider to be too much for the flip. I think double the price is a flip, right? I think when you start to get to these triples, quadruples, We'll give the perfect example, and some of you might have your feelings hurt by this. God rares and black labels. People that are like, God rares that are like now up to BGS 10. I mean, not BGS, like 10, pop counts or 8, whatever they're up to. They're still charging people like crazy amounts of money for them. But it's like, why is it this level of money? And how are those people ever going to get out of that card? Like, they own that for life, because that pop report should only command that price for how much it's gone up when it's like 1 or 2, right? Like, if we get to we're up to 8 and there's only 10 collectors in the game that have that kind of money. Cool. One dude has 10 of them. And I think that's what's preventing the boom from happening again right now, is that you have to manage your greed. And that's really hard to do. And that's what I recommend, is just dollar eBays. Like, at $1 eBay, it's not your greed, it's their greed, and it's FOMO. And I think that's a fair way to do it. Like, you guys right now, if you guys want a prize card, I've got one up for $1. It's already up to like $900, I think. Well, I had people tell me that it wasn't worth $500 when I was putting it up for sale. Well, it makes it very easy if someone just buys it instead, Yeah. And that's what I think will cause the growth to happen. Is just more people being like, all right, cool. But when there's first edition Charizard going for $300,000, that doesn't help.
Yeah.
That's what I think what we're talking about. We've touched on and talked about the card values, coming down or the downfall, I guess. I don't know. I think it's more so just becoming more healthy because of what you're saying. Like, the GDR, there's a couple people that are listing the new GDR, which is my opinion is the best GDR, but it's either that one or the Vegeta.
Easily the best, yeah.
Listing that at 3,500, but it's already at a pop 8, I think, or pop 10 already in a BGS 10. So you've got 2 or 3 at 3,500, and then you have 4 or 5 people that I've seen on eBay in the range of 2,200 to 2,700. It's like, how's that card going to maintain and go up just because it got a 10, when the longer we wait, another week, another 2 weeks, there's another 10, there's another 2 10s, there's a couple of black labels that are going to come. Like, we know a black label's coming.
We're talking about the Goku.
Yeah, the new.
Yeah.
Oh, and it's gonna.
And I wouldn't mind that, right? Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. Go ahead. No, you're good.
I wouldn't mind that price, because I think that is a good price for 10s. It's probably where I would have been when the cases were $900,
right,
which is what they should be. Well, now cases are like $400, $500, whatever. They're crazy low.
Yep.
So you're telling me if you buy 10 cases, you should get a God rare, right? You'll be out $5,000. Okay. And you're telling me if you get the God rare as just a 10, which most 10, mine apparently only got a 9.5, which is why it didn't go for as much. But most go for a 10. You're almost at break even, and you have 10 cases worth of stuff when the set's still available. Now, in 4 or 5 years, I think it's going to be a pain in the butt to get God rares. I think it's going to suck. And it's going to be one of the things where I regret. Like, that's actually one of the conversations we have, because I think the price is too low. It's just, I think it's too low for how hard it is to get. And I ripped 6 cases, and like the amount of investment you have to do just to get one, it's pretty high up there. So I think when we get Dragon Ball Super 2 back, those older cards will be harder to get, specifically for God rares, if they keep doing the God rares, right? Now, also though, I wonder how true that is, because I always thought some of the old SERs, they would never get topped. But then every set, Dragon Ball makes the SERs look better. And so now I don't care about owning a Wicked Saiyan Black Label, right? Because that was the best art for years, in my opinion. And then now it's like, well, there's a lot better art now, so I don't really care about it.
Don't you think too, though, like when you were comparing prices and values, like, you're saying that card's going to get harder to get, but like, it's never going to be less print than like a trophy card that's selling for 1,700 in a 10.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, so that's the weirder part, because that's about I think the Pokemon can attest to it, is the difference between being mainstream and being the niche market. If you have someone just traded in, and we've got some Pokemons that are some sets I've never heard of. I have no clue what they are. They're just stacks of cards, and they're like, oh, this is some Japanese thing, and I'm like, cool. this is in the slabs for later, because I can't put that up for $1, right? Because no one knows what it is. It's some no rarity thing, and I just don't even get what it is. But if it's something that's mainstream, you can put it up for $1, like the GDRs, right? The fact that the GDRs aren't that rare, but the tensions on them demands their price, right? They're kind of like the Taylor Swifts of the game, right? Everyone's talking about it. Everybody's there. Well, how many people even know what a trophy card is? How many people have actually held one? Because they look terrible on Instagram. Like, you have to have a special box to take the photos. Whereas a GDR, man, it just looks amazing no matter where you're at.
So my thing with the GDR, and this, I'll say this before we shift topic here. I think that going back to your comment, you're saying like down the road it's gonna be really hard to like get these GDRs. I think that it's gonna be the complete opposite, right?
For raw, I mean raw.
For raw, okay, yes and no, because a lot of people still don't grade their cards. There are a lot of people who collect raw cards and keep them as they are, and I've come to realize that more as I try to buy stuff, particularly for my collection, and they're like, yeah, these are all the raw cards I have, and I'm like, why do you have a raw GDR, Vegeta GDR? Why do you have a raw, Wing Goku? And so I feel like those cards will still be pretty available, especially at the rate that I see the Goku UI GDR being pulled. I mean, it is at a massive rate. I've never seen so many GDRs posted on Instagram versus like, you even looking at the Gogeta, the Goku Wings, the Bardock, the Vegeta. Like, I've never seen so many Goku UI GDRs pulled literally within a week span and just being displayed. I mean, you could probably buy 4 blisters at Walmart or Target and your chances are 50-50. And that's just not, that's how I feel. That's how I feel. I mean, and I could be wrong. It could just be the fact that the attention is there for Dragon Ball at the moment and people are like, hey, we're fucking buying this massively and we're just, these are all the pulls. And maybe that's the case, but to me, it just feels like it's such a repetitive pull now that like how, I would say in 2-3 times a month when people get their collector's returns or they get like, their shorter end submissions and they all come back, you're going to see a flood of these cards graded going for, probably trying to still get top tier money when in reality, it'll just come down to the game where who's going to price it for the lowest price to move it the fastest. And that's what I think hurts the market when it comes to those GDRs.
Yeah, I think it's more so for me.
Sorry.
I agree 100%. With the exception is that I think you're noticing a correction from how people treat it. So you're right. And a huge part is that the people who are trying to get in and out of an item, like, one of my buddies wanted to sell one of his God rares. I graded it. It didn't do well. And I was like, hey, we got an offer for 1,700. He's like, cool, accept it. And I was like, okay, fine. Get rid of it. Sure. I think that's way too little to take for the 9.5. Like, just go get it cross graded at PSA, man. Like, this is worth more than that. He's like, no, it's cool. I'll just take it. I think it becomes more of where when the price is going down, you have more people start to hold and they realize that this is too cheap. But I think you notice people invest less money into the chance. And so that's what prevents it from being like, I have to sell. Because we were getting to a point where people were doing this on credit. And I think that's what caused what you're talking about, especially for like Vegeta God Rare. We knew people who were buying on their credit cards through eBay tons of Realm of the Gods to try to rip, the God Rare so they could resell it. Well, those credit card payments come real fast. Like, that's a pretty dumb plan. But if you own your God Rare, you can wait and find out. But you're absolutely right, is that they're not rare. They're rare in the sense that there's only several thousand. So, eventually they run out, but several thousand in a community of maybe 10,000, that's not that rare. That means that 1/10 of us can have one.
Yeah. Well, especially when no one really knows what the print rate of these cards are.
Well, I mean, Bandai does. The last 3 sets are all the same print rates. If you go to Bandai's rate? I don't know the number, but I mean, I can look it up. It's the exact same. It's all 3.
Worlds, they told us it was 1 in every 10 cases, and then the amount of pre-orders has consistently gone up, was basically all they told us. But you're talking probably easily, a fair amount. I mean, they're a publicly traded company, right? No, they're private, right? I think
Private.
Bandai's public.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
private.
So I don't know
So-
what they publish, but I know they publish that Battle Spirits cost them money, from what it sounds like. So like Dragon Ball continues to make money. So whatever their print run is, I mean, it's in Target, it's in Walmart,
It's in Barnes
and
and
that doesn't-
Nobles. It's everywhere, dude. But like
Yeah,
the thing is,
so, I mean-
like how many of these specific GDRs were printed? Like, hey, we're limiting our print to X amount of GDRs, or we're limiting our print to X amount of sets. Like, no one really knows how many cases were produced to say, hey, there's only X amount of cards, and this is So just going back to the whole rarity thing, like it just yes, it's a hard card to pull, but it's not impossible.
Yeah. It's kind of like when the most recent Charizard, the really ugly looking diamond one.
Oh yeah, the
Oh
glass
god.
house one.
Yeah.
Looks
Yeah.
like-
so
looks
that
like
one was a
yeah.
lot of money. What was it?
Yeah,
The
the
first
stained
week was
glass.
$100,
Yeah.
and then it was like 65, then 45. I don't know what's down to now.
That's because they started giving it away in a promo.
Oh,
So they've
that's even
yeah,
worse.
so it was so I'm pretty sure if you're talking about the one from like the Obsidian Flame set, it was like
Yeah.
it looked like stained glass or something like that.
Yeah.
So
just made by a
when
child.
when it came out, everyone's like, "Oh my god, Charizard!" because Charizard and people. But then I'm pretty sure that's now a promo in something.
Yeah, it's
But
like
it
one
is,
of
I actually have it.
the promo set.
Yeah, so the new UPC. Yeah, I didn't know if that's where it was, but yeah, they just started giving them away. Like they do that shit all the time, and it's
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just I
infuriating.
always thought Dragon Ball could correct some of their issues by not doing reprints for SERs, because SERs in the game, if you're actually worried about it from a player standpoint, like Cell Xeno, that card was several $100. Everyone liked it, right? Make a Rebrian card with the exact same text as the reprint and make that for anniversary. So if you want an SER that has the exact same text as Cell Xeno, when you have 5 or more energy, you get all these amazing abilities. But put the art as generic. Don't even make it foil. Make it a crappy piece of paper that's meant for budget players, but don't reprint it. And I think our market would be better because of it, because there's no reason to keep reprinting Cell Xeno with, like the art with him in Mythic Booster where he's pooping. Like, what? Why do that?
I remember that one.
Yeah, like that's the best example. Why did you make a reprint of a guy pooping?
Yeah.
so.
And you know what's crazy
so
is how much that
question-
card sold for at the beginning when it first
Should I-
came out.
People
Tons of
bought
money.
it on our streams for like $100, and I was just like, all right, started at $1, and you're just like, and then like the next one sold and it was like 80, and I'm like, all right. Then it was 60, and then by the end of it, they were like going for like $6, and I was just like, wow, those first people are not coming back.
So should I buy a case?
Yeah.
Is what you're saying? Should I try it?
Dude, I will say the price, that's actually what we started to do. And I will say, if you are trying to profit, one of the easiest ways you can make money in Dragon Ball, and it's so dumb and easy, and that's part of the problem of what makes it so easy, is you just buy a case and you grade all the cool looking cards, and every black label you get will be more value. And you just go into collector's edition, and you're just, the slowest roll ever. And as long as you take care of the cards, you generally make a few $100 per case. But you got to spend basically, what is that, like, when you figure out the amount of cards you're grading, the amount for the case and everything else, you're out like $1,500, and then you make like $300. It's not a ton of money. It's a lot of time, but you get to keep anything you want. And that's primarily what our business does. But that's also why the prices fluctuate so dramatically. Like, I was the one who killed Oob, and I did it as a bet. So there was a card called Goku and Oob that was very expensive as a black label. It was a pop 3, and it had been a pop 3 for several years. And somebody kind of made me mad, and they were like, "No, dude, it's worth $5,000. You need to get me 5,000 for it." And I was brokering for them, and I was like, "Dude, whatever. I can have this at a pop 15 by tomorrow. Okay, this isn't that hard to do. The card has never been played. You just order all the near mints, check them out, print them." And he was like, "No, man, you don't know what you're talking about." And I was just so pissed about it, and I was just having a bad day. So I spent $1,000, and I bought every Goku and Oob that was available on TCG Player.
That's
I spent
fucking
a
petty.
whole day, very petty, right? That's what
So
I say.
petty.
I got anger problems, all right? I admit it. And so I inspected every card, fixed the ones that had like a fingerprint on them, submitted 10 cards under the standard, submitted 30 cards under the slowest level. I think I ended up with 14 black labels out of the 22 I submitted.
Damn.
And the first thing I did was tag him in the photo because I was like, no, this is not like, you don't need to be charging people this much for something when it's not that rare. Because Oob was a $14 card. And that's where I got upset because that's how I feel like we lose collectors. Kind of that same discussion. I don't mind if a $14 card that comes out as a black label goes for $500. I think that's fine. It's still a pop 14, pop 15. You're paying for that black label and a perfect card. Now you're telling me $14 becomes $5,000? Okay, come on. That's a little bit. You're getting too much of your greed.
Yeah.
That's not fun. There has to be an element of fun.
Pop
Sounds
report,
like
suck
Pokemon.
on these. Suck on these with that
Yeah.
pop report. There you go.
Yeah,
Wow.
but don't be petty. That's the last thing to take away.
I think Javi had you had a question, Javi, right?
Yeah, I actually did. I was gonna bring it back to your collection real quick. So, with your comment just being said, what makes you decide what stays Grail wise in your collection?
So I'm sentimental for animes, like, and the best parts about my life. So some of them are very simple. Like, for example, I grew up in Final Fantasy. And I don't know why I pointed back there. I have a screen up so you can't see it. Pointing
We
for
saw
no
it.
reason. That's my first time trying to block it out. But like someone traded me for Final Fantasy cards, and that was 17 through 21. Just playing the Final Fantasy games, loved them. 7, 8, 9, they were all just amazing. So those were one row that I wanted to keep forever. And I didn't. The grading company is like some Australian company. I could care less what the grades are. They're 10s, but they're 10s from some company I've never heard about. And then score. I just set it some, because score was one of my first. So I graded some masteries. Well, I specifically didn't want expensive score because score has some very expensive pieces. And for me, it was more about the fun, right? Like, so I didn't care about it. But then when you get to our Pikachus, I want all the cool Pikachus. And it's not the price. I don't mind. I have no problem paying the price for a Mario and Luigi Pikachu if it was what the price is, because it looks so good. My problem is nobody wants to trade me one and buy. They want me to pay full price, and they want to be like, no, that's $5,000 for the pair, sir. This is a PSA 7. And you're like, that's not right. And they're like, no, this is super rare. And you're like, that pop report disagrees with you. Oh no, that's a mistake. So with those exceptions, we get every Pikachu we want. Van Gogh, didn't matter what the price was. I would have paid $1,000. I was excited when it was $150. It was beautiful. I want those things to be Jenny looks at her Pikachus every once in a while and she just enjoys it. People come over for board game night. She shows them off. She's like, check out my new Pikachu. It's fun for her. For the final ones, it's becoming harder to figure out what to keep from Dragon Ball Super. So Dragon Ball Super, we have my original prize card back from winning Australia. I sold that for like $10,000. And then the market on the papers went down a lot. And some guy was like, hey, I got into this. It's a 9.5 Beckett. I need to trade out of it. And he wanted a super low trade. And I was like, absolutely. Boom, let's do it. I want this card back in my collection. I was super excited for it. And I cross-graded it to CGC, Gem Mint 10. They barely gave it a 10 because they were like, oh, this is a little bit rough. And you can see it's not the best condition. But it feels really good to have that memory of Australia. Like, it's a dumb story, but man, I traveled across the world and I won. I conquered Australia. That's a cool card to keep the memory of, But when it comes to the rest of Super, a lot of them are just weird cards where I'm just like, I like this. I keep this. But every time I try to do something that's a collection, I get overwhelmed by it. So like the God Rares, I started collecting all of them as pristines. Well, then next thing I know, I'm looking at it and I'm like, God, this is so many thousands of dollars. I need to get my doors fixed. I need to do, is this really what I want to spend my money on? Like, and I can get metal cards. So I sold all my God rares and bought a ton of metals because at the time metals went down. Well, now I have I think I have 12 metals in my collection. But they're in my personal collection. Like I just have them. They're not for sale. I think I only have one medal that's available and one of the new set or two. Because I've realized I want to see what these become later on. Like I want to hold. I want to have that power to do it. But then like my hero, ironically, I always thought would take off. I thought that would be like one of those animes that cards would cross over and people would be like start collecting them. We'd all run to get Dekus. First of all, totally wrong. That market has not done well at all. I have lost on every investment on those. But I have 2 rows on my Show Your Slabs. Shout out to them. They do a good job. That are just my hero. Because for me, I have to honestly wonder when I went through what I went through in the army, which it wasn't that big of a deal, right? I got hurt in the army and it didn't work out. That's where I should have learned, like, hey, I feel bad, but I didn't understand my emotions as a guy. And I know that sounds stupid, okay? But I really didn't understand depression, mental illness, any of that stuff. I love so much how my hero has character development with mental health. Like if you guys are caught up on the current season, if not, spoiler incoming. But like the character deals with like huge amounts of depression, isolation, exhaustion, fatigue, and all this stuff because he's trying to protect his friends. We didn't get that as kids. We got Goku being like, well, I need to be stronger. Let's train harder, guys.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true.
Let's.
And real quick,
I
just
got
an off bit.
stabbed.
Just an off bit, and just to be clear, you guys, if you deal with any kind of like mental stress or you have there's like issues there like depression or things like that, man, it's okay to talk to people about it, right? Put your pride aside, put the fact that you think that no one wants to hear your problems, and just talk to somebody because it's not seen well, maybe not as much as it was back then, but in today's world it's a little more open, and I think that it's very important that we focus on our mental health 1,000%. So if you guys ever feel like you need to talk to somebody, I mean, literally, I'm sure anyone on this panel here currently right now would 1,000% talk to you and hear you out.
I won't remember your name, but I'll listen.
But he'll hear you out.
I'll hear you out. But yeah, so for me, it becomes kind of like those things where I'm like, man, I want to remember this part, and those things kind of help me remember and enjoy it. For Super, I only have 2 cards. The only 2 Supers that I've for sure said I'm going to keep on my wall, I'm never going to sell. I got one of my cereals back as a Gem Mint 10. I won, I think, 13 cereals this year, 10. I don't know what I'm up to, but I won a lot of cereals this year. The price point got too low that I was like, I'm not going to sell this one. I want to keep it. So it's going on the wall. And then the other one is a French card where it's a Gogeta, and it was the first ever Ghost card. But it was on accident. So the Miraculous Gogeta there wasn't gold. It was like a sparkle.
Yeah,
and
it's sick
like
too.
It's like a BGS 7. Like it got terrible. And the person who traded to me was like, oh, this is worthless. It's a BGS 7. I was like, yeah, sure. Throw it in the pot. I'll take it for worthless.
Yeah, I think it's sick. I have a BGS 8. No, sorry, I have a PSA 8 Vegito, French Vegito from the Assault. Yeah.
The signature?
No, so yeah, it's we Javi's 30%. Javi's 30% owner. I got it in a trade actually.
Custody?
Wow,
Well,
that's so awesome.
Javi
He gets
set
it on the weekends.
This Christmas and next Thanksgiving it goes to him. But yeah, no, he set the deal up, so I had to. He's a part owner, but I came across it, dude. It's actually, when you look at the French set, it's the first real all forms of like Vegito that you see, because instead of it just being a signature, it's beautiful. It's such a beautiful card. I'm so happy. I might crack it and send it to BGS, honestly, and just whatever grade they give it, just because my collection is based primarily on BGS slabs.
See, and that's actually the card I wanted to get for my cell to match it. And then I'm just like, I just got so many more in, like I just got Brawly and stuff. I don't think Vegito makes the cut for my wall. Which I know it's crazy to say, but like if I have to choose between Brawly and Vegito, like One is like the epitome of like trash talking and being a badass, and the other is just rage incarnate. I'm gonna go with rage incarnate because that's my spirit animal.
That's the ginger in you, bro.
Yeah, that's. I mean,
Yeah.
that's 100% Army Rob. Loved that kind of character development. There was no feeling. It was just punch time. Like that's brawly. Like that's a cool story arc.
Yeah.
Y'all heard it here, folks. I'm the champ. Vegeta can get fucked. Sorry, Gunner.
Wow. Wild.
Vegeta
Wild.
prices drop by 10,000%.
You know what? We're gonna end this stream, guys. It was nice talking to you guys. Have a great night. Fucking bullshit. Hey, real quick, just to kind of steer it in a different direction, real quick. And I know you've talked about like your eBay sales and kind of like building the business of Gingerfusion, the brand, and I know that you're on Whatnot, right? So
Yeah.
you that's you go on there, you run these crazy slab deals for everybody, and you do the voice acting signings that are on there. It's pretty cool. What is your position on Whatnot now as opposed to what it was when you first started on the platform, right?
It's so hard because when I started on the platform, it was too good, and we didn't know how good it was because it was like the beginning of the boom, right? We didn't know we were in the boom, but like we were in the February of boom was when I was very popular on there. I really love what Whatnot can do. My problem is I feel like Whatnot, it doesn't reach its own potential, right? And it's not its own fault. It's just kind of like the algorithm and what it is. So I just say is that like I like Whatnot. I think it's fun, but it's so hard because it's effectively like something like TikTok or Instagram or anything else. You have to educate so much of your audience that's coming in because you have access to so many streamers and so much information that like I put up champ packs just to as a thank you. Now I got second place, so I was being very nice. I said something like $6 a pack. They didn't sell out. The average retail of the packs I was selling was like $32 because I had like winners from the newest set. And so I had no problem with it. Like I literally just ripped them and put them on TCG Player. And me and my wife were just laughing about it because I was like, no one knew what these were. Like, I just don't get it. And the people who did know were like, yes, I'll take 30, I'll take 10. Like they just wanted a bunch of them. You have to educate so much on Whatnot as opposed in the very beginning, there was such a rare, like a few people that you were funneled everybody. Like you would almost get to choose. Like I think there was 6 of us going live at like per week. And I'd be like, hey, I'm going live on Thursday. None of you jerks ever better show up on Thursday. I'm taking this time. And then somebody else would take Friday. And we basically just had a monopoly on the time. And so everyone was funneled into one, which although obviously was tons of profit, it was weird and unique. So this new way is better, right? Because I like there being more options for variety. But now it's getting to the point where it's almost silly because there's not any rules. Like I saw somebody doing the porn cards, no offense if you do them, of like the different Dragon Ball. Because I was like, oh, hey, they're doing an adult Dragon Ball show. I'm an adult. I'll click on this. And I was like, oh, no, I thought that meant cussing. That is not cussing. These are just naked cards of, all right, cool. Next. Like, I don't need to buy porn in the form of cards. Like, it's not for me. But like, those type of things, like that's on Whatnot now. But like, yeah. I feel like if you focus on the other avenue of what Whatnot can do, like when I do the voice actor streams, those are always such a big hit. You guys all enjoy them. They're super easy to set up. And whenever I'm in a city with one of them, I just reach out and they're super excited to do it, right? That's where I feel like the benefit of them would be. Like, I tried talking to Erica Schroeder at the last event, and unfortunately, she's just gotten so much more popular. I haven't got to have her on the show. And like, I think that's the only one I missed out on where I was actually genuinely sad because like I got her contact info, we talked a few times, and now it's like she's to the moon of popularity. So I'll never have her on the show because I'm sure now at signing she's making like 30,000 a day. Probably not. She's not looking for like $2,000 from Gingerfusion to sign a few cards.
Fuck, I even tried talking to her recently.
What was that?
She was like, I even tried talking to her recently. She's like, man, I love to, but fuck, she won't have time. She's
she's dude, and it's even crazier because like people like I follow her and like the popularity of it. I could see Whatnot just partnering with her. Like she just did a big like photo shoot for modeling and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a fan of Erica Schroeder, you could just have her sell her prints of being a model and doing a live. And based on how much thirst is on Whatnot, I can guarantee you that would sell out, and that would be a better use of the app because you're
Immediately.
sporting burner modeling, and you can get a signature. Like you're getting a full package show. She can talk about being Luffy, and you're kind of combining it all. And I feel like Whatnot just always misses that mark because at the end of the day, they take a huge percent, and that's the only reason I'm not on Whatnot very much. Is I won't lie to you, like I get a lot of my sales through direct, and so if I don't have to charge you an extra 13%, I don't want to.
Yeah.
And now that TikTok charges me 0, like that's wild. I have a 0% with TikTok.
How does that work?
I have no clue. I get 100% of the money. Like I don't pay the shipping. They reimburse me on the shipping. Or
What?
now they actually use their own shipping client, so I don't even have to do it now. And it's
Hold
just
on. Let me just backtrack here. So TikTok doesn't charge you a fee to sell. They reimburse you shipping. So how?
it makes so this is the problem is I am too old and too untechnologically advanced, and my computer sucks to do TikTok in the ways that I need to do. Because TikTok, we were talking about it, this could be such a game breaking thing for every streamer and every person because and they're restricting what you can do. They don't want games. They don't want mystery bags, and people are getting around that, being like, if you buy 2 packs at full price, you'll receive 2 free. And it's like that's a mystery bag because you don't get to know what your 2 free are. But I digress. But like people, you see stores just emptying inventory. But this is also what's affecting the price of Dragon Ball. Stores are loading Mythic Booster on there for $45. Well, Mythic Booster only charged $25. That's all that it's worth, right? Because there's not a lot of money in it. Well, because no one knows about TikTok and they just want Dragon Ball product, they're like, hey, it's $45 for a box. Sounds fun. TikTok will give them a coupon for 20% off. It'll be like $35 by the end of it, or whatever the math is. And then they'll just be buying it. So they'll be paying $10 over MSRP, or what the current MSRP is. Obviously, MSRP is like 100 of what they want. But they'll be paying like $10 over what TCG player would be. And they're not even losing fees.
Well, there's so many people on TikTok that are selling that have no clue what the hit rates are, what they're even pulling. They bought the set because of exactly what you're saying. They're selling their box still perfect combination for $90, $100, and they have no clue how many SRs or SPRs come in the box. They have no idea. I watched somebody.
It's basically drop shit.
Had 190 people in his show, just cranking out boxes. I'm like, this guy has no clue.
Yeah.
He's like, I think there's a car in every case. I'm like, oh,
I've seen that. I've seen it. What's crazier to me is that where are all these buyers coming from? Why are they not like in platforms where they can actually excel in their purchases versus
there's
like
a ton of.
I get two a week, about, like, it's not a lot, but I get a box or two. Like, we have to, it doesn't have a very good notification system, so we just have to check it every day. And then, like, I don't do content for TikTok. I just post my Instagram video to TikTok to stay relevant. And I started getting my first pennies for doing that. You're looking at a guy who made 24 cents on his last video. Kind of a big deal.
Getting paid, baby, getting paid.
Hey, and it's in the form of diamonds. Not sure what that means, but I can't redeem it, so I'm not sure. But I have 24 cents worth of diamonds, which I will redeem. I don't know what for. But like, I don't do TikTok. Like, I'm not on there a lot. I just post a video, and I posted, hey, I just won second place. Thanks for the support. And someone saw that video and was like, cool, and bought 2 boxes of Realm of the Gods, which was like, those are still like 150. So I spent $300 in my store. No messages. I don't have any interaction with the person. It's very weird. But yeah, 0% fee to TikTok. I don't know if that continues forever. They said they're going to make the fee 2.5% at some point.
Even then,
because we got in at
2.5.
Well, yeah, 2.5 as opposed to Whatnot's 13.5.
And what's
how much it
eBay's?
is on Whatnot?
Yeah.
After you average it out, it's
Well,
about 13.5 because they charge you 30 cents.
Only if you got on the app after 2021. If you're a 2019 original, the fees are not 13.5, but still they're higher than 2.5.
Okay, yeah, I pay a lot. I don't know what it is, but I thought it was 13. Hey, if it's 10, I apologize. Whatnot, please don't cancel.
No,
me.
you're right. It's like 13.5 for anybody. But if you were on the app in 2019 when the app first came on, when it was only Funko, and then they added Pokemon like a couple months after that. The fee structure is way different, and then you're grandfathered in, and also you got like instant payout immediately if you had 500 followers. So there was a lot different back then, but then they did not change the fee structure. So our fee structure is a little different, but it is like 14% now for newer sellers. So
I pay 12% to eBay. So that's the other one, is that like eBay is great for slabs. I can't not use eBay, right? So it's kind of the same problem with Whatnot, because if I put a slab up that's worth $80, I'll probably get $80 on eBay because it's enough eyes. Whatnot's harder because I'll put up $100 card and the guy's like, I will give you $60. And you're like,
Yeah.
It's true. It's true.
and then I got to pay the fees, you know? So I just, for me,
Well,
it's just, I really want to do Whatnot, but I want to talk. Like I want this. So this would be my perfect Whatnot. The five of us hanging out in chat, you guys talk to me, you ask questions, and that's what it used to be when I used to stream.
Yeah.
I just did a stream. I was giving away money. Like everyone who was buying from me made money on me. Like I was giving away slabs at cost, all this awesome stuff, and no one had any questions. No one wanted to talk. They were just like, "Give me this cheap stuff. Move it along, boy. Come on, chubby."
I was playing Call of Duty. Don't judge me.
Yeah. Hey, you weren't talking. I hate you now.
I was in there though.
Whatever your name is.
And it's funny too because D-Ghost, I don't know if you guys know this, but D-Ghost _13, he's a moderator in the chat. He's actually the Junk Drawer IT support. He does all of our background stuff. And he, like a couple months ago, was like, yo, you should go to TikTok. And this is like before Dragon Ball like kind of like started catching on to TikTok. He was like, you should go to TikTok because people sell on there. He goes, I think that you would do really well if you promoted it. And I was like, fuck TikTok. I'm not doing all that. I'm on Whatnot. And this was like when I was like super into Whatnot. Like I was a new seller. I was like, yeah, this is great. And now I'm like, damn, dude, I should have rode that wave when he told me to. Because
see, and I haven't, like, I didn't take advantage of anything. Like I listened, I did a few things, but we've made about, I think it's only like 1,500 since November, October, something like that, whenever they signed me up, like whenever they started the thing. But it was a very weird intro because I was like, yeah, I don't know anything about this. And he was like, dude, it'll be great. We need Gingerfusion on TikTok. And I was like, I don't have TikTok. Like, I got to download the app. Like, the last time I used TikTok was to watch like 30,000 beautiful women like scrolling, you know? Like, I realized I don't need that in my life. And so now it's even weirder because now I open my TikTok and it alternates. So it'll be like gorgeous woman dancing to a theme song. Next video, oh man, I opened a Clefairy. Next video, girl dancing as a Clefairy. Next video, I played a God Rare. So they clearly know my target audience, I guess, but it's very weird.
TikTok has 108% more downloads than Whatnot. So Gunny, your question was, where are these buyers coming from? But there's 108%. So if you think of TikTok, that means like if Whatnot had 1 million, that's 10.8 million downloads compared to Whatnot's 1 million downloads. So way more people on TikTok, and on TikTok from like a 24-hour cycle, right? Whatnot has a down period, like whenever it's my time, Eastern time, probably that 3 to 4 a.m. time.
Mm-hmm.
That's when Whatnot's like dead, from like 3 or 4 Eastern time till like 8 probably. It's like dead because even your Guam boys, it's like late for them.
Yeah. I mean, but even then, it's like
funny. TikTok will let you just be like let's say Javi wants to be a part of my channel. He can make a video and he'll take a % of my sale from TikTok. And then there'll be promotions where TikTok will cover that fee. So it won't even cost out of my pocket. So they'll charge me 0% fees and they'll give him money to sell my item because he made a video that people interacted with. Like I hate to say it, but I really feel like in a year from now, we're going to be like, hey, remember that conversation about how TikTok killed Whatnot? It happened. Because I feel like I can't imagine Whatnot's got to figure this stuff out. And the publicity hasn't been great for it, for what they've had happen. That, they did the Black Friday where it was 0% sales for one day, which sounds cool, but like you just made every single streamer go live to fight for that, not lose your 10%. So now there's 30 people streaming and only 10 people online.
Yeah. That's like it clashed so much that people weren't making as many sales as they should have been, so it wasn't as beneficial to the sailors as we had thought it was going to be.
I think they should have offered it for the week. They should have offered a time slot like they did the card show event. You get this time slot, you get 2 hours to stream, and you have to sign up for it first come, first serve. Like, you have no fees from noon to 2. Or, you know what I'm saying? And staggered everybody. Because, like you just said, the same is for the sellers, but it's also that way for the buyers. You expected everybody all their money together. Not to mention, you're asking to spend it on Black Friday, where that's the biggest shopping day other than Cyber Monday in the world. So you wanted everybody to spend all their Christmas money that they'd saved for this shopping day. You want them to come and dump it all on whatnot. And then they got to pick and choose who they buy from. Like, 5 of the homies are on at the same time. And how am I supposed to support all of my friends? Like, I don't know. I think it was a smart decision, but it was a poor execution.
Yeah, I think it's hard too, because it's such a cool app, and they did so much that I just fully expect that to get bought out soon, though. Like, I fully expect TikTok to probably just do something like, hey, you want to buy your app to take anything that you have, any intellectual properties you have patent pending, and get bought up, because I know eBay Live tried to do something similar, and then they bought up TCG Player instead. So I mean, I think that's the other thing, is that if you guys want to have a company, you want to have a brand like we do, whether you're a player, collector, or whatever it is, I'll be honest, TCG Player is probably our most consistent money. And that's just because you just list all the stuff that's not worth grading. And so now you get to split your income. So now you're putting all those cards that you're not going to grade up, and people are buying your crap for like 30 cents, 50 cents. And that really helps offset your prices. And so I was surprised that Whatnot never found a way to do that. And now it's too late because eBay owns them, and you can't compete with eBay.
Let's transition. You guys want to do the speed round, the speed question round? Yes, no, Gunny?
Up to you guys.
Yeah, I'm down.
Javi, you want to go through the speed questions for Ginger? Ginger, we do this one. It's a new thing we kind of implemented last week with Bro Namath. Really, it's random questions that they won't all be. Some will be personal, some will be old, some will be new. Just rapid fire. First thing pops in your head. Responses. So it could be dangerous, but we're here. We're here for it. Javi, you want to go through it? You want to take them through them? Questions?
Yeah. All right. Ready to go. First one. Who's your favorite voice actor?
Oh, pass. That's dangerous. I got 12 of them in my freaking contact list. I can't do that. Oh God. You know what? Here, I'll give Stephanie. Stephanie's got to be the probably favorite, because she was my first. Like that did the show with me and started to work with me. And without her, I don't meet the rest of the cast.
She's awesome.
That is true. Second one. If you could voice a character, who would it be within the DBZ genre?
How is this supposed to be a speed round?
Raccoon.
I'll be honest, I don't think I would for Dragon Ball Z. I consider Dragon Ball Z to be perfect, and the voice actors they chose are literally works of art. If I were to voice anyone, it would be from Dragon Ball, and I would probably just show up, and it would just be fun to make up random characters, because they always just had like the Native Americans and just random people, and it would just be a blast because they are just terrible accents, and that would be fun.
Next one. Favorite fast food?
Grilled stuffed burrito.
Ooh,
Taco Bell.
From where? Oh, now you talking. Talk dirty. What's your favorite destination? Favorite destination?
Favorite destination?
Japan. Probably Japan. Going back to your homeland, there's nothing like going back to where you were born.
Favorite movie?
Ooh.
Highlander?
Damn, I haven't seen that in so long.
I was gonna say, dude, that's a throwback.
Hey man, I'm old. And ain't no young people here. We're already on another remake.
Oh man. If you could be any animal, what would it be?
I'm getting like sea turtle vibes. I don't know why. That's just I would love to be a sea turtle, dude.
I'm gonna go with dolphin.
Okay.
Okay.
They sleep half the day. That sounds good.
Favorite season?
Summer.
Those are my 7. You got anything for him, Michael?
Those are hard questions to answer rapid fire. Like, damn.
Who's your hero?
You know, it was always just my parents. Like my parents served, and that was like their whole life and whole identity. And then they always just took care of us. And so it was always weird because when I had to write this report for high school, I wrote it about Spider-Man. Because I kind of grew up with like the people that were heroes. Like if you're going military base, like everyone's a badass. Like they're just way better people. And so you're like, when they asked me that question, like, who do you admire? I was like, Spider-Man, because he always makes jokes. And my teacher was like, you misunderstood the assignment. And I was like, maybe you misunderstood the damn assignment.
All right, finish this phrase. The way to my heart is
Pizza.
pizza. All right.
Solid.
What's been your favorite age so far?
It's a good one.
God, I gotta say 38's been really good.
Okay. Other than traveling for tournaments, what was your last vacation spot?
Disney.
Disney. Okay. Land or world?
World every other weekend.
Oh, I love it. Love your style. What's a guilty pleasure of Gingerfusion?
I have a really easy life, so I don't know. I don't know if I have anything to be guilty about. I play games for a living, and that's pretty much it. Like, I mean, I literally just my days are, I go to work, I work out, I play games, rinse, repeat. Like that's pretty much my life.
Okay. Karaoke song. Your go-to karaoke song.
Ice Ice Baby or Go Ninja Go.
Okay.
Go Ninja, go! Hey, we're about to start watching Ninja Turtles too. What's up?
My last one is what's the best advice you've ever received?
Man, I know my worst advice. I don't know what my best advice is.
All right, go with that one. What's the worst advice you ever received?
Oh, I can do. Okay, well, I know both now. It took me a
Okay.
bit. The worst advice I ever got was right after I got hurt in the military and right after I got reconstructed. I was working for a university, and one of the deans, hi babe, love you. One of the deans said to me, "Hey, Rob, I notice sometimes when people ask you how your day's going, you give an honest answer. You tell them how your hip's hurting, how you're having trouble walking, whatever it is. Sometimes you'll even cry. No one cares. When anybody asks you that question, anything a man should respond is, good, how about you? And then they'll continue to talk about whatever's actually important. No one cares about your feelings, and you need to move on from the military because it was just a part of time." And I took that to heart, and I believed the guy for years and tried to make that like really it. And I used to just, that was like literally my go-to answer for like a decade. I was, no matter what people, I could literally be bleeding, be like, "Are you okay?" "Yeah, everything's great." "How about you?" "1 second, I need to stop the bleeding." I really like Tom Hanks. I think it's Tom Hanks. This too shall pass.
I saw that.
Yeah.
And that
You
interview.
feel like you know, yeah, no matter what's happening in life, it'll pass. You're having a really bad day, it'll pass. You're having a great day, it'll definitely pass. But everything will happen, and you just can't worry about it because it's gonna pass. And then you'll have a new problem or you have a new good thing, but nothing sticks around. Not a single thing you do.
Fun fact about that phrase, it's the top 10 most tattooed phrases in the world.
Right under no regrets.
Right under no regrets.
This is spelled right.
Oh, that's awesome. I didn't know that was a real thing. I literally just saw that video and I was like,
Kid you not,
dude,
kid
this
you
is
not,
some
dude.
mind-blowing crap.
it's crazy. But yes, it's a great quote. You know, it really you can apply it to literally almost anything and everything in every aspect of your life.
Who said it first? Honey? Who said it first?
Who said it first?
Yeah.
I think George Washington did right before he crossed the river on Christmas Day. But that's
Scandal.
Or Jesus.
Or Jesus. Oh, that's true. George Washington, Jesus, same thing, dude. It's so fucking tall. White guy, white hair, right? I don't know, dude. Oh wait, that's Moses.
What
Fucking,
is Jesus
Whoa.
white in yours? I've never seen white Jesus.
what, dude? Yeah, there's a white Jesus. There's a black Jesus. There's a white Jesus. There's a brown Jesus.
No,
I mean,
man.
there's all kinds of Jesus.
Oh wow.
Oh,
It's 2002. We still got white Jesus over here.
identified as white.
I have one question actually, just to add to the speed round, which you're deserted on an island. What's your one item you bring with you?
Ooh. His deck.
A boat?
That's smart.
Big
Shit,
brain.
if I could plan ahead, I'm putting in a boat. I guess a plane would have been a better answer, but
You
I don't know
what?
if I get a runway.
I think that the next time I see an opening to like go on like Naked and Afraid, like where you get to bring like one item with you, dude, I'm gonna go on that show and I'm bringing an inflatable raft. Right? Can't lose.
Yeah, but you don't get the pump, right?
It's
So you
okay.
gotta blow that up. You gotta blow that up the entire. It's gonna take you that whole 21 days to blow that motherfucker up. So.
Matter of
This
fact,
is helpful,
we'll do.
'cause my brain has been trying to figure out all day how to counter a certain strategy in the game. And I've been thinking about cards. So I always wonder what regular, like non-gamer, like people that are like trying to play card games all the time are thinking about. And this man's over here being like, all right, if I go on Naked and Afraid, I need a raft. And that's what's populating your space, That's good to know.
Well, think about it though. Like, so maybe not a raft. We'll get the donut like little floater with the big duck on the front. That would only take me a couple hours to blow up, and that I might not get past the surf, but at low tide I might be able to do something. You know what I mean?
Couple hours to blow up, a couple minutes to sink. All right, I got a question. So whether you're a car guy or not, your dream vehicle, just to cruise,
Lamborghini.
which one?
I don't know shit about them. I just know
Okay.
like literally I don't know shit about cars. They go fast and they freak me out. That's about it. But no, when I was a kid, we never had money, and I just remember the Hot Wheels where the doors would go up and how cool they looked. And so to me, that was always a sign of money, of like real power, that you could have these doors that like went up. And whenever I see it in movies, there's always that part of me that's like, like, okay, I want to be that guy. I don't know what that guy does. Oh, he's the bad guy. Damn. He's always the bad guy with a Lamborghini. Like, I've never seen the hero drive a Lamborghini,
Yeah.
There's a lot about
drive now? What do you drive
What?
now? What do you drive
I
now?
don't. I talk about it a lot, but that was my first, like, when I used to think about like dark thoughts and intrusive things, it would always be in cars. And so I
Oh.
just kind of stopped driving. And then my wife drives me everywhere. And so like on occasion I will drive, but I'm that guy who's on his phone the entire time freaking out, because I just envision the worst possible. Like when I see a car with their lights on, I just immediately am like, we're going to die. And then like when we go on road trips, I actually will say those things out loud to people. Like when we go on card trips, I'll be like, oh, you need to slow down. We're going to get hit. And they'll just be like, relax, Rob. It's okay. And I'm like, oh yeah, it's
Doing
fine.
20
And it's just like, it's so dumb.
Like, we're gonna get killed.
Yeah. Like, like we just did it in Nashville. Like they drove us, and one of the buddies is like a teacher. And like, he just like, this looked at me. He's like, it's going to be fine. I'm like, eyes on the road. Eyes on the road. You can't look at me. That car could have cut you off. We could have died. And he's just like, wow, there's a lot of anxiety we got to unpack there. You just don't like driving, do you? And literally every 2 weeks we go to Disney World, and I'm just sitting there on my phone the entire time. Like, oh no.
What's the plane rides like? Because I mean, I can only imagine. I mean, is there a problem with plane rides?
No anxiety. I sleep like a baby, and like I don't even care, because like you don't die in car accidents. That's why car accidents are so scary. you get like messed up and you still live. Plane accidents, you're set. You is not your problem anymore. And I like that. Because that's 100%. This thing crashes, guess what? Somebody else has to clean up this mess. I am set.
You ever watch that skit? That skit from what the fuck's that guy's name? The comedian, where they're on the plane. No, I'll have to find it and I'll share it to you guys. So
You know when they start calling
Soul
people,
Plane?
where they start calling people and they know they're gonna die, and they're like,
yeah,
Dude,
McGillis.
Yeah.
McGill, he
Oh,
calls
yeah,
it
Sean-
WRX.
Shane
Shane
Gillis. Shane Gillis.
Yeah.
Shane Gillis.
that's amazing. And then they like survive at the end, and they're like, oh no.
The pilot comes out. Just kidding. We're all gonna die.
So fun thing
Oh,
to add on
God.
about the plane thing. I don't know why they've done it, but twice now, and it's been a huge advantage. Both of my flights to Australia, they have given me my entire row. The first time they admitted why, they were like, hey, you're kind of a big guy. We're going to give you your own row in the back of the plane. And I was like, oh. And I just slept down and slept all like 14 hours straight. And then on the second flight, I upgraded to economy. Like they had an offer button where you could like be like, hey, I'd like to upgrade my ticket. And they're like, well, this costs $4,000. What do you want to offer? And I was like, $333, whatever the minimum button is. And it was like $300. And I was like, okay. I offered it that. They were like, this is unlikely to be accepted. They accepted it. And then I got on the plane and they gave me a whole front row of the premium seat. So I just turned it into a couch. And so when I showed up to Australia, I was like fully rested. And like,
That's
I literally
awesome.
just sat there reading my book, just like, this is really nice. People would bring me beverages while I'm laying on my back. And I was like, oh man, this is nice. Worth the $300 or $400.
I actually never experienced that whole bidding thing for seats until I flew to Houston for Collecticon, where like I'm flying down. I flew there and I was like, my seat was like, this is Spirit, by the way. And yeah, so it's rough, but like I chose to try. I was like, okay, I see they have like a big boy section up front because I'm a big boy, and I was like, you know what, I can ride it out for the 4 hours in the regular, but it says here that if I bid, I can possibly win that front seat, and like I see the buy price was like $400 and something bucks. I was like, you know what, I'm gonna bid $27 above what I already paid. And sure as shit, I won it. I flew back and forth on that front seat for like under like $100, which is the best investment if you're flying Spirit. 120%.
Yeah.
Would recommend to anybody.
Spirit. That problem solved.
Yeah, but I mean, when you're flying local, it's whatever. Anything over 5 hours, I need to be comfortable. I can't do it.
Yeah.
How is Houston? You consider Houston local?
Well, I think anything within a 4 hour time frame is local. Like I can sit down in an uncomfortable seat for 4 hours.
Local is what I can drive to.
Yeah.
In like 2 hours.
Yeah, 4 hours on a Spirit plane? Like, no, I'm just me inside some guy's rib cage. That sounds great.
Well, the big boy seats is only two seats. It's only 2 seats per side. It's not 3.
Just breathe air. Nah, bro. I'm out.
Yeah, no, I can't even. I'll be honest. Gingerfusion has grown at least to that point where we don't have to do that anymore. And that's how I knew like things were getting better, because I used to always pay for the Spirit flights, and I would just be miserable for hours. Like I flew from Detroit to LA, and I was like, it's only 5 hours. It's just worst experience of my life. And now I'm just like, okay, cool. Anybody but Spirit. Oh, Delta, I'll pay the money now. Like this, please not Spirit. Like anyone else, like I'll get on a freaking boat instead.
I look for I look for all the flights that are like below average CO2. I'm like, yeah, fucking kill me with these fucking fumes. Fucking $400 cheaper. Let's go. That's funny. Let me see here. Hobby, where are we at here?
I get we're in the wrap up session.
Yeah, open discussion / wrap up session.
Yep.
Okay. So I'll start. I'll
Yeah,
kick
I
this
gotta-
off.
Question.
actually, Go ahead, Doc.
What? I was just gonna say, hot take on Flesh and Blood? Anybody?
Ooh, I used to love that game. I think it had the potential to knock out a lot of games. Their gameplay was phenomenal. Their advertising was phenomenal. They had everything they needed to be successful. They just fucked it up. Like I had no one to play with, and I mean no one at all. And I had a blast just flying to events, and and one of the events I flew to was the first Flesh and Blood, whatever it was, and it showed me right away that they weren't ready for players because Magic has built-in rules, and they were trying to copy it off of Magic. And I was, I literally learned how to play at the event, so I didn't know anything about it, and it was a sealed event. And I showed up, and when I did, I was like, okay, I can do this. At the end of the day, I was X-2, pretty good record, 7-2, whatever it was, 6-2, whatever the final thing was. They used to cut to top 75. It had nothing to do with your record. It was just an arbitrary number they chose, and I was 76th. So my first ever day learning how to play the game, could have topped, played, done it all. And then I still went to other events to try it out, but I couldn't ever get people to get excited for it. But I thought, I mean, the way that they use resources and everything else, honestly, if they just would have added probably breasts to like some of their cards, because like that helps sell. Like it sounds bad, but like they had beautiful women, but like they could have done more of that kind of marketing of like these badass chicks, They didn't ever really take advantage of that market for like collectability. And I only mention that because Weiss is a terrible game, and Weiss has made millions off of it. And they thought they could just get there on their mechanics alone, which proud of them, but I would have sold out if I was trying to make a game.
Interesting. I think Javi has a question.
Actually, it's a two-part question. So the first part of it is, what is your thoughts on the new way they're doing Fusion World? And the second part of it is, how will it affect the competitive side of it? Like for you, example, that you play and compete with DBZ and the cards itself.
I think it's great. I'll be honest. I was just like a man in the back over there. I was sad when I got the first announcement, just kind of like how Diama was, and then like it grew on me. So I can't learn new decks. Like it's not a joke. It's not like some like me trying to psych out my opponents. I have failed miserably to learn all these new counter windows, access to card pools. It's been terrible this year. I have only performed with one deck. Large part because I can only learn and master one deck, because there's too many matchups, too many effects, too much to keep track of. And even then, I still Koitsukai wrong. So clearly, even with mastering one deck, I'm still making mistakes. And I'm supposed to be, some guy did some stupid little Excel thing, which is kind of cool, but also like why, where he put together everyone's records for the whole year. I won the most events. So currently I was in like ranked highest. I can't, as a guy who's ranked highest, I can't learn new decks. It's not a joke. It's 100% true. I tried to learn U7. I tried to learn all these mechanics. It's too much to keep track of all these different effects. If the game's that complicated for somebody who's performing well, how are you supposed to join the game? So since you can't really join the game, we need Fusion World, right? Fusion World can bring you in as a new game. And then if you master that game, we can try to get you in the Masters, right? So I like that a lot. And Fusion World, we're all in the same, there's not a lot of skill involved. I draw a card, I attack. I draw a card, I attack. That's good for getting people involved. We get an app. It's all good things. So I like it. And it sounds like when you buy a pack for either Masters or Fusion World, you'll get an online pack. Like how Pokemon does the codes.
Yeah.
That got me to play the app when I used to collect Pokemon. So you're selling multiple products now. And in the digital age, you need that. So I really like it. And I think with the anime returning, if they structure it well, now this is another issue of like the fact that Bandai does screw up. We have to hope that they don't screw it up. Saturday, Fusion World event. Sunday, Masters event. Now I travel for 2 regionals. I get double the value, double the cards, double the fun.
Same price of travel.
Same price of travel. You can have less events now. You can have an online event. You can do stuff like those too. But now you can have it for nationals. You could separate it and be Friday. We do an all-day Masters. Saturday, Fusion World. Sunday, side event. You have a very good opportunity for them to keep both games alive and bring in new faces, because the card games are a blast. Like if you don't actually play and you collect, it's an honest blast. But I can't teach you. Like it's too complicated. I can't teach myself. I've been trying to play cooler. I got like 30 matches. I've won 0. Zero is a bad number. Zero's a bad number. But I could just be too old to learn, so you can blame it on
So I plan on personally attempting to learn Fusion World when it comes out. So I don't know dick about the games in general. Like, I read the cards and I'm just like, nah, this is way too confusing. I literally have an aneurysm trying to read some of the cards now, and I'm like, this is wild. I was like, there's too much happening on this one card. And if Fusion Worlds is as easy as they say it's going to be, I'm going to attempt to play. I'll obviously play the online client versus like the in-person, because in my area, Dragon Ball is very scarce. So I don't see myself playing locally here. So I'll have to forcefully wait for the game to come to the mobile app where I can play it there. But I do plan on trying to step into that and kind of learning how to play it. It'd be cool.
I'll play you online. It'll be fun.
Let's do it. So real quick, while we're in the open discussion, grading. Where do you stand with grading? Who is your obviously your go-to company? I've seen you grade with multiple sources, so I can't specifically say that you're a Beckett guy or you're a PSA guy. I've seen slabs on your end come from, whether they be from trade or your own submissions, but I've seen BGS, CGC, I've seen PSA. I think I've even seen Degree on your page. I'm just kidding. I don't know if that's real or not. But
we tried them out. That didn't work out. We tried. Yeah. We tried. Is Degree DCI?
Oh, I don't know.
Or
they're the green and black slabs. They're the ones that have the 11th degree or something like that.
Yeah.
What?
But yeah. So there's a rotation that you can track for grading. Okay. You want to avoid Beckett in the winter, and you want to avoid Beckett in the summer. You can only really submit to Beckett in the spring and in the fall because they get too busy with their promotions. So if you do a collector submission, if I submit it in December, I'm not getting that shit back till June. They're going to say it's 2 months. That's a lie. So I have to make sure I can keep that much assets away, and I like to submit on a rotation. So if you're going to be a flipper, because there's a collecting part of our business, a flipping, and an investment. The flipping part, whoever's the cheapest, whoever has promotions, we just want to grade the card, and because it's Dragon Ball, it's going to get a 10. It's probably going to get a 9.5 on a rare occasion, but almost all of them are 10s. So like CGC is the highest profit margins we ever get, but they sell the slowest.
Right.
And it has to be specific cards. But they're the best for voice actors and stuff like that, because then I can lower my costs and get you a slab signed by the voice actor. Everybody wins. Then PSA is what I do for personal collection, because PSA slabs all look the same. The fact that they're boring actually works for me because I never look at the numbers. I am not at all a PSA 10 guy. My Poncho Pikachu is a PSA 4.
Oh.
And he is beautiful. Because I graded him myself, because I paid like $47 for it on eBay, because the guy was like, it's damaged, and I was like, bye. But I have the card, it's mine. When it comes to selling for investment, there is only one king, and he is Beckett, and it is express, and it is premium, and it has afforded thousands of dollars of our purchases, because if I get a gold card, Bromath has already shown he was the purchaser of our first place card we got for being second, because first place did not choose the champion card because he didn't care about money. He chose what he loved, which is great for him and awesome for me. So we got the champion card, and he wanted it only if it got a pristine. So we waited, and we got offers from other people, and it pristine. So I said, hey, do you want it, or can I sell to these other people? And once it was a pristine, he definitely wanted it, right? A Beckett pristine looks, man, it's the king. Like, you can't argue. And then when you get the black labels, man, I have 20 of them. The reason why I have 20 of them spare up for trades is there is no better currency to trade for assets. Whenever I have asked for something, like I wanted a sealed item from Score, I was like, hey, just take a look. These are my generic black labels. Choose one. I think this was equal to your same value. The dude was excited. He was like, a black label? And I was like, but these are not SCRs. These are just SPRs and SRs. And he was like, absolutely. The currency, you can trade them for comics, pops, anything. Black labels trade like they are amazing. So I have to admit, if you want a company, the slowest way of grading under Beckett is the smartest idea. Those 14 black labels, only a few were standard and the rest were under economy. And those made me thousands of dollars because I think I was charging $500 a piece for them.
Jeez.
So $30 total investment to be $500. That's seems like it's worth your time and effort.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But don't grade everything because like nobody wants Cumber.
Hey, they're coming. Hey, Meat Man.
I know, there's Meat Man. There's one dude who's got all 3 black labels for a reason. Just that one guy.
He loves them, man. I'm for it. I'm all for it. Speaking of gold, actually, well, this is a paper, but still, like the Vegito. This is like.
Oh yeah. Look at you, pristine Vegito. Did you get that from Loot Hall?
No, I graded this myself, actually.
Oh, look at you.
Yeah.
Not a black label. I'm disappointed.
Well, hopefully this GCR says otherwise, because 9.5 edges. I was like, come on, you're killing me. So we'll see.
Because they're all elevated on all the gold cards. I could see that argument for them because they're all the knife cuts into them with the art, so they're actually all being raised up. So you could make an argument that they have edging damage, but it's literally cut into the card.
Yeah.
So an AI is not going to see that, and I think GCRs are done by people.
So I'm gonna double down on this one, dude. I'm more than positive this is a black label.
I really wonder what the value of that is. So that's like a cool thing to like. So this is always where I am not a pro, and I generally will have you tell me what a black label is worth. And unless you just lowball me, then I just say no. Because it's so hard about black labels, because that's about between a $1,500 and a $2,500 card raw. Depends on where you get it and from what country you get it from. As a pristine, it's still only worth $1,500 to $2,500. As a gem mint, still $1,500 to $2,500. Well, we all know it goes up some amount as a black label. The question always is, what amount does it go up, and who wants to get it for that price increase? And it's such a hard question to ask where you're just sitting on black labels because you know it's worth more, but most people are like, well, I can't afford it, but I want it.
So I think collectively the idea behind a black label goes to, where most people have always felt comfortable is 10 times raw value, right? So, and that obviously changes as the card either devalues as time goes or goes up in value based on its rarity. So something like that, I don't know. I don't know what it would at a black label. I mean, what am I going to say? It's worth, 10,000? No.
Yeah, I mean, see, that's more of the problem is, I think you're right, though, is that if Dragon Ball had the proper amount of people in it, that ratio would work, right? 10 times the amount of people, you probably have the only black label, right? You can command that value. The problem is, right now, people who don't know any better are posting for 10,000 euros, which obviously you'd have to, up your amount to be like 13 grand US.
Yeah.
They'll let you get a gold Gohan that is one of 6. Now, we don't know the grade of it because it's raw, but there's only 6 that exist. So what buyer is going to be like, well, I want to buy the label, when you can buy a 1 of 6 that's a trophy card over a different trophy card that's 1 of 32?
Right.
And so then it becomes, what's the value of your Vegito? Well, it's clearly more than the 2,000 that I sold mine for it being raw, but it's clearly less than the 13,000 they want for Gohan. You're going to find that right mixture. But in 5 years from now, I think 13,000 could be realistic if you have the only one after like a pop control of like 10 years.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just a waiting game, I think. Then that's just how it's going to end up being for most cards is wait it out, right? Set cards in general, I think should be, a lot lower than what people sell them for. But like prize cards, I mean, it's kind of hard not to ask what you want for it because of the limited print on it.
Yeah, and it's the hardness to acquire it. Like going undefeated at a regional is not easy. It's a lot. You have to go. It's 8 to 10 rounds. You're just playing, and you can't drop a single game. And if you make a single mistake, you're out because it's best of 1.
Yeah. So listen, I recommend everybody, you guys buy some cards, make some decks, and just play Ginger online so you can get better and we can get more prizes. Right? Just get beat a bunch of times. Just don't know how to play. It's fine. You'll be all right.
Ginger, do you have any questions for any of us?
No, it was just fun hanging out with you guys. I miss when we a lot of you guys, we used to just hang out every week for the, streaming and type stuff, So it's just cool to get back to like, this is what I miss, even if it wasn't always you guys, but like just the Whatnot crew. I just enjoyed seeing everybody. This is the hardest season for me because all I do is test with the people who I'm testing with. And so it's just nice to talk cards and hang out and then go back to testing tomorrow.
Yeah, we
Got one more.
love back on at a later show for sure. If you want to come back, for sure, we'd definitely love to have you.
Yeah, hopefully I can come back and tell you how terrible it is to be a world champion.
That's right.
All the girls want your signature.
Right. Hopefully you can come back and be like, my Gokus I got for you for the low, and I can be like, all right.
Yeah, hey, you want to buy something? I got it, guys. We got plenty of product. I'm about to open 5 cases of Wild Resurgence just because I want that God Rare, and I have 5 cases.
Shorty?
Oh
Shorty,
wait, our
you
buddy,
hear that?
our buddy Shorty did the same thing, and he hit absolutely dog shit.
I probably will too, but I figure, I figure the cards are expensive right now, and for what they cost, like people want to pay $500 to get a case. I'm like, no, I'll just open it. Let's see what's inside.
Oh wait, hold on. Randy asked a question.
Yeah, Randy asked the question.
What do you got, Javi?
He said, "What do you think the change in rarity system in Fusion World? Will it be better to rip product?"
That's pretty cool. So it's interesting because it's not One Piece. So they're attempting to use One Piece's formula for Dragon Ball. The problem with that is Dragon Ball's product is too good. So this is a weird issue. So you get a leader for Dragon Ball. Well, then in the case, let's just say there's one alt art leader of the leader that you're going to play with. So you have your choice. Do you play with that leader who looks kind of cool, or do you spend 10 times the price to get the alt art? Okay, then there's a second problem. The alt art leader now, you only get to play for half the game because you start and play most of the game unawakened. You don't awaken until you flip. Currently, it looks like alt arts are going to be your awakened side because they don't have the foresight to make your awakened side also foil because they don't play the game. They design the game. If I was working for them, we would fix that. I'm not. Whereas One Piece has shit artwork. Have you seen what a regular leader looks like? It looks like one of your kids, Yabi, was just colored it up and was like, hey, this is Whitebeard. That's a woman. No, it's Whitebeard. Okay, fine. It's Whitebeard.
Woman.
It looks terrible. Like are you sure this is Whitebeard? Yeah, that's not mom. Like this is weird. Like it's bad art. So you want the alt art. So now you have an incentive as a player, but then also your leader never changes in One Piece. So you put out that really nice Nami. She's your Nami the entire game. Your Ace, whatever you're playing as, you get to play with the coolest version the entire game. So marketing wise, they've missed the window and we haven't even started. That worries me. And yet, marketing wise, look at how badass that serial Goku looks for prize cards they've already announced. That serial Goku has the 7 Dragon Balls already incorporated into it. The color sequence is perfect. The texturing looks like it's going to be perfect. And where they put the serial numbers makes it where it looks iconic and looks perfect when you want to show it off to other people, including on Instagram. It is far more active and more likely to get collectors interested. So
I think it looks like drip.
The regular product looks bad now, and trophy cards look good. So we'll see how that impacts it. And then also, the rumor I've heard is that SERs will not be limit 1, and they'll be like One Piece. So I don't know if that means we get mangas as well, because that's where I get excited. Because
That'll be dope. That'll be dope as fuck.
Well, because if you think about it, you can continue the conversation, right? But like that's what when you're like me, you always live in the future. No, you can dream what they're gonna do. So they've already showed us that we're gonna get Diama, right? We got a card. So they have some sort of licensing right to have a Diama card. Cool. We can have Diama decks, get people interested in Fusion World. If they're copying One Piece and they add in mangas, does it have to be of mangas that have already happened? Or do we get Ultra Ego Vegeta as an alt art?
Ooh.
before we get the anime. So now we can travel in the future before we get the animation done, and now we get the card we all want, which then also means Black Frieza.
African Frieza.
Wild. That's insane. I can't.
So that's what. So when I'm thinking about collecting, when I'm talking about how I feel that we're on the brim of a boom, that's why I feel that we're on the brim of a boom. Is the ball's in their court. Bandai knows that Dragon Ball sales are doing well consistently for them, but are not consistently maintaining value, and they're losing stores' interest. They have an opportunity to fix it if they do some of the stuff One Piece does, and then they can really fix it because they like their surveys. I can guarantee you every single one of my surveys is going to be like, I would like a launch card, and I would like Black Frieza. Please make it happen.
Yeah. No, I'm sure it's bound to all come. You know, especially if they give you the mangas. I mean, I'm sure they can go backwards and restart. You know, you can go Dragon Ball, you can go Dragon Ball Z, and go through all the arcs there, and that would be an infinite amount of cards to come. That, I mean, just iconic scenes. It's the same thing they did with like Heroes, particularly where they did the dramatic arts, which I in my opinion, I think would be cool. So hopefully your the fortune telling you have here, the crystal ball you're looking into, seems to come to reality, because that'd be sick.
That would be really sick.
So, but
And if not, we'll talk in a year and be like, nope.
Gingerfusion was wrong. Nothing came to fruition. We got a fucking serial golden Shenron. I don't know what to do anymore, guys. This is it. I'm out.
Fire sell everything. It's all gonna end, and then the next step, they're like,
One thing we can agree on, though, is something's gonna come. Something's happening.
Yeah, that's for sure.
So the sky's not falling. I think that's the only thing I could say that's an honest advice, is that if you want to believe the sky is falling on life, it is. Like, that's what I learned when I was having issues with the Trump era, right? Like, my work, I thought they were going to fire me over 0.5%. And so my life became harder in that time frame. And I made everything harder because I was afraid that things are going to fall apart. Our market isn't going to suddenly wake up tomorrow and be like, oh, you know what? I think Goku's mid. I've liked him my entire life, but suddenly, you know what? I think Spirit Bomb is racist. I'm not a fan. You know, like, you're not going to change suddenly what makes you excited about Dragon Ball. You like it because it's a nostalgia, it's a simple storyline, and it makes it fun because it incorporates real life martial arts with fantasy. Those things aren't going to change. When you see him use the Bruce Lee one knuckle punch on Frieza, or 1-inch punch, dude, who didn't get excited in the movies for that? That's not going to change.
Bro, Resurrection F was wild. I'll watch. I'm about to watch it tonight. I'm going to watch it tonight, actually.
Exactly. I mean, like, and so when you think about it, what you're hearing and where people aren't excited is people overinvested their money. And generally speaking, those are the people who are upset because they bought an item for, let's say, $10,000, like Apex of Power, and it's not performing if they bought a Black Label Apex of Power regular, because now there's been a lot more, like what you're talking about. So then in their mind, everything's worthless. Well, they can still sell a card for several $1,000s. People still really want it. The difference is, if you lose money, it's hard not to be negative. Well, since so many people lost money this year, in every industry, you hear negativity. We didn't get to hear much from our Pokemon master over here. But Pokemon has had some declining crazy numbers on some cards, like the Umbreon. That's a great example for some of those pops where, like, you know, the PWC sales continue to plummet on in comparison to where they were a year ago. And people are like, oh, well, this Charizard went for 25% of what it went last year. You're going to be negative if that's what you focus on, because some things don't work out. And it's hard to be positive in those situations. But if you're having fun, well, that was the whole damn point in the first place.
I mean, I'm sure those numbers will pop back up. All we need is Mike Tyson to buy a Pikachu, bro. If Mike Tyson buys a Pikachu, we can revive.
I mean, more realistic. Like, I mean, that's a crazier part about it is,
I want to hear him say Pikachu.
What?
I want to hear Mike Tyson say Pikachu.
I know, right? Oh.
Rayquaza.
Can you imagine if Logan Paul starts endorsing Dragon Ball? Like, there's always a joke I always had is that, like, 'cause he loves fighting, right? if somebody gifts him, like, I was always one of the things I always imagined to do, like, because we gifted Gary Pokemon once a top 16 card because he helped us out with some connections. So we gave him a top 16 trophy card. He showed it off, and he liked it. I always made that joke. It'd be cool to send Logan Paul a Dragon Ball card to get him addicted, right? Because then he could be like, wow, this is one of 36 in the world. Screw it, I'm going to buy all 136, But it just takes one person with that kind of power, and Dragon Ball's market always gets set into flux because there isn't that much available.
Dude,
The stock is...
That's a big brain move. Sending it to Logan Paul?
Yeah.
I'm gonna send him this fucking Frieza drip card I got.
Fuck it.
There you go.
See if it sticks.
Send it to Beyonce.
Yeah,
Send it
there
to
you go.
Beyonce.
That's it. Ludacris, he's on my list. I want to meet him. Mariah Carey's always been on my pass list with the wife that I've always tried. So maybe I'll just send her one, see if she's a fan.
Just mail it to him. Just over the mail. What the fuck is this?
Mariah Carey, hey, Gingerfusion's a fan. If you see me divorced next year, we can talk about Mariah Carey, episode 500.
Jesus.
Turns out that pass was not real.
It was a test, actually.
It was a test, and I failed because it's Mariah Carey.
God. That's great. But all right. Well, look, I think we're before we run on. I mean, we can sit here and conversate. I mean, literally for hours. I think. But I think that if anybody here has any questions you guys want to ask in the next 5 minutes before we wrap it up, I gotta say, Ginger, that was fucking super insightful on your behalf, especially coming from you. Being one of the biggest players in the I guess space of the hobby, especially, and then being so involved in the collecting aspect and providing everybody what they're looking for. I will ask one question that's gonna just seal the deal for everybody: Gogeta or Vegito?
Which version of Gogeta, Miraculous or BR?
I mean, they're both whatever. Doesn't matter.
I mean, they're completely different story arcs, and one exists and one doesn't.
Let's go Miraculous.
No, it's too late now. You've already lost my damn interest. They're the same thing. No.
He's
You can't.
setting you up. Bait.
Yeah, dude, you can't compare Miraculous Gogeta with BR and say they're the same and expect me to have a good conversation. No, I think you're right. I think Miraculous is 100% better, especially because the character development didn't exist back then, but you felt what Miraculous was feeling, right? Like, it was a good story arc for how short it was. And with BR, you didn't really get it, Like, you didn't really get a Gogeta. Like, you got him smiling when he uses what's the ball called?
Something spirit, soul cleanser, soul punisher.
Yeah, soul key ball or whatever it is. Yeah, so it works on Janemba. Yeah, so it works on good Janemba because he's an evil incarnate, so it makes him dissolve his soul. And then there's that little bit of a scene in BR where he hits Brawly with it, and it doesn't affect him, and so he smiles because he realizes Brawly's not evil. Like, that was a very cool moment if you're a super big nerd, and to everybody else, they were like, oh, cool, boom, that was awesome. Like, some people watching right now are like, wait, what?
But do you think Gogeta would clap Vegito? That's what Gunny's trying to get at. Who's gonna win?
See, that's such a weird conversation because when you talk about power levels, when we get to Z, as opposed to, especially if we're looking at Miraculous Gogeta, Vegito was not limited by his power. It was his intellect, right? It was his intellect that made him smart enough to realize that he needed to be absorbed to cancel the fusion to try to go inside, right? So he was able to think with Vegeta's mind, but with Goku's reflexes. Whereas Gogeta, you're shown the opposite, where it's more of like spirit bomb attack. We're going Goku style. We're just ending the fight. There's not really a very good development, right? There's not a lot of foresight put into Miraculous Gogeta. It's basically just a lazy production done. Based on that, I would have to say Vegito would win just because they put the time to put the effort into the idea that Vegeta does strategy and Gogeta just launches balls at people.
Basically, Gogeta's a dumbass.
Yeah, I mean, don't you get that feeling a little bit? Like like, and I know that they bring it across because it's funny because when you look at the art, like the difference is always just like a hair flip. Like that's what separates you from Vegito is one's going to the right, one's going to the left. Um, and I guess the outfit changes a little bit.
Yeah, that
Um,
little jacket he has, that's cute.
yeah, I thought about wearing it today. Should have worn my hair. Um,
That's amazing.
but yeah, no,
Mando-
I think it's fun too is to imagine like more so it's like when you get to these levels of like fusions we never got thanks to heroes, you know, like Frieza and Cell and stuff. Like man, like that would have been I would have really enjoyed that to be like a real storyline.
Damn. Alternate storylines are sick. I've seen some on there, but not to dive into that rabbit hole.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's settled. Vegito, point blank. Period. It's over. Sorry, Shorty. Get a life.
No, technically, Vegito still lost because there was a 2-1 because he said Gogeta twice and Vegeta once. No.
I'm just saying. We watched the death battle. We watched how that played out. You already know who came out top dog. It's a wrap. It's over.
They did a death battle between the two.
Yeah, they did a death battle, and Vegito won.
Oh,
and plus,
hilarious.
and the champ he just sealed the deal. The champ sealed the deal. He said it. It's Vegito. That's it. There's no. You
I didn't even know what I was getting myself involved in.
you know what I'm saying?
70 forums on the later. We don't like Gingerfusion. He doesn't like Gogeta.
Akira Toriyama, when he drew Gogeta, he's like, man, I'm gonna draw a different version of the same guys, and this guy's gonna get clapped. I mean, easily. And that's the storyline, and we're sticking with it. So,
That's awesome.
But listen, hey, Ginger, it's been a super pleasure having you on here, man. Thank you so much for your time, man. Thank you for the knowledge. Thank you for the information. And, everyone here at the Junk Drawer, we wish you the best of luck in any of your future competitions, tournaments. And we'll be rooting for you, brother.
Thanks, appreciate it.
And real quick, just a couple sidebars before we head out of here, guys. First and foremost, shout out to D Ghost. It is his birthday today. Happy birthday to our IT support. Thank you for everything you do for us behind the scenes. And secondly, I don't. Ginger just dipped. He's like, fuck this.
He's sick out.
Just took off. It's all right. He didn't know. It's all good. But yeah, that was great. I had to break from the chat. So super great to have him on here, and hopefully the next couple streams going into the new year, we got some pretty sick shit happening. I'm not gonna break the ice yet because nothing's really been confirmed, but I can guarantee you guys that definitely something to look forward to. I'm trying to push to get Pokemon people into the program because we haven't really dove too far into Pokemon, and I want to definitely do that. And then same thing goes for the One Piece community. So we're going to try to bond everybody, bring everybody in, kind of talk about these things. And I think that you guys will definitely love it. So stay tuned. 2023 was awesome. I mean, I know we kind of picked up a little traction late in the year, but we did what we did, and I think that 2024 is going to be super awesome. I mean, guys, you got the dream team here. We got Javi, we got Wagyu, we got DOC, Gunny Ghost in the house. We're going to fucking bring this shit down, and I think you guys should definitely stick along for the ride. And yeah. So this is the last stream of the year. I know that it's not the end of the year, but we're all going to take our holiday recess here and enjoy the time with our families, as you should. So with that said,
merch announcement.
Go ahead.
Merch giveaway announcement. Remember?
Merch giveaway announcement.
Everyone that is purchasing Junk Drawer merch, obviously reach out to me. Every purchase is an entry. What did we decide on again, Gunny? Have we decided officially yet? Or are we going to announce it?
Yes. So every purchase that you make for Junk Drawer merch gives you an entry to win a custom one-of-one designed skateboard designed by your boy, and it'll be fitted to you exactly, and that'll be based on obviously however many points you accumulate based on how many pieces of merchandise you buy.
Correct. So hit me up for merch. I have the prices all that figured out already. So hit me up on my IG or on Whatnot or really anywhere. Hit anybody else up. They can forward all the questions to me. But grab the merch. We have hoodies, we have snapbacks, and we have t-shirts. We also have tank tops. Ginger's not in here, but he requested a tank top, so Ginger's getting a tank top.
Ginger's getting that tank top. We're gonna hook up
Shit.
all our interviewees, anyone who honestly takes the time to come on here and talk to us from this point forward. Now that we have the merch available, to obviously hook them up with a little something extra for their time. But yeah, with that said, happy holidays to my friends who celebrate Christmas. Merry Christmas. To my boys that they do the fucking the dreidel. Merry Hanukkah, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa. You know what I'm saying? Do your thing. And have a happy new year. Be safe. Don't be stupid. We need you here next year, bro. Or non.
Before we leave, though, don't forget, also follow that YouTube page that Gunny just put up.
Oh, shit. Totally forgot. Our YouTube channel's up. The_junk drawer, TCG. We're on YouTube. All of our shows are now automatically being uploaded to YouTube. You can go on there. You can clip it. You can check all that shit out. And yeah, let's get some support around there. We'll be doing a lot of stuff with YouTube and Twitch and Instagram and TikTok, and we're just trying to intertwine everything. And I'm a little slow, so bear with me. The boys are here to help. D Ghost on the opposite end on the backside plugging us for sure. So just
OnlyFans.
only fans.
Yo, I'll sign up to fucking his
God.
OnlyFans any day. I like him married. You know
What is Rainy saying? Happy holidays, boys. Y'all got extra small junk drawer condoms? Asking for a friend.
Oh my God.
Hanukkah, you dumb fuck. What, bro? I said happy Hanukkah, dude. Jeez. You know what? I love you, Randy. I love you, Randy. No, we're not getting canceled, bro. I wished everybody Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, Christmas. Fucking,
I'm Jehovah's, so.
The three kings. You fucking bro. You're Jehovah. Happy Jehovah Day, bro. You know what I'm saying? Whatever. It's all good, baby.
Happy Witness Day, bro.
Yeah, bro. Happy Fifth Amendment Day. I don't know, dude. All right, hey guys, we love you. Be safe. Thank you for hanging out with us, and we'll catch you guys 2024. Be there. Peace out.
Bye.